set up and everything, and then
it was a doozy, man.
okay,
And
there
I felt like
we should
like
be live.
crap on Friday. Felt awful all day.
Yeah, that today has been the first day where I haven't felt awful.
I
The
agree. I felt very
so
normal.
like whenever you get sick and like your nose gets stopped up whenever you get
Mhm.
sick, and then after you get done being sick, your nose is real dry.
Yeah.
So that has been me for the past few days. So I've been getting way more nosebleeds. Like the other day when we were streaming, I got a nosebleed in the middle of streaming. That's kind of why I kept leaving in and out. So yeah, let's pull. I need to pull up the chat here.
Also, we're not. Our faces aren't up yet.
Not
Just as
yeah,
a
I do.
addendum.
I wanted to start out with the slideshow so it can be more of like this is before the show, and then we'll be up after the show. After we get a little bit of rambling going on here. So we could get at least like one other person tuned in. Wait until Tard shows up.
I have never been more happy with this.
Also, I love the fact that I gained 10 views on the stream we did on Thursday.
Hmm.
Like since yesterday, I've gained 10 views on it, and I don't know who watched it. It might have been
Yeah,
Tard just trying to like catch up, you know.
I don't know how I feel about this page because it started off so innocently and now it's turning into less innocently.
What?
Sorry. We're live, right?
Yeah, we're live.
It's I know this is a family program.
Mhm. It's past
Uh,
midnight now. Jack shouldn't be up.
I know this is a family program, and we're all about peace and love and whatever kids are calling it these days. But I
That's
just
right.
wanted to mention that I found a thread of tits, and it starts
Good.
out with birds, and it's like the northeastern crested tit, the which I thought was hilarious. And of course, the further you go down the thread, the more actual female breasts there are.
Yeah,
But
because you can't start out like it's the internet. It's no matter what it is, it's going to lead into that.
yeah, I thought it was
Also, I
I thought
need
it
to.
was pretty cool.
Are we running smoothly here? Yeah, we're still running smoothly. It's just my phone. Okay. So hello, people in the chat. There's looks like there's one person. I don't know. I'm. I honestly don't care if we have many people on tonight or anything.
Oh no, it'll be shorter, so people might want to rewatch it. Actually,
Yeah, yeah. This one should be fine. But I also thought it was really weird the other night whenever Tard fell asleep on us streaming.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's a little strange, if you ask me.
A little
Sorry,
strange.
I don't have the chat up currently. Two blokes, man. Two
Two
poor fellas.
blokes, two fellas,
I
just
guess we should do the Corona update because every
yeah,
episode I bring it up. I haven't been watching the news as religiously the past
yeah.
couple days, but when
I
I have,
yeah, same.
I was right about one thing.
Mhm.
And knock on wood, please tell me I'm right. This is really sad to say because I'm not an analyst. I'm no analyst. I'm no pro. Uh, but I peg that this whole virus thing will peak
Yeah.
next week. Personally, is what I think
Actually,
in the states.
yeah.
That's my take. And coming
So
into this next week, I think it will because we're already at over 200,000.
yeah, not yet. We're
Are
at
you sure about that?
as I'm looking it up right now. As of right now, we're at 124,000.
Sorry. No,
But
you're right.
if I'm correct, I'm looking it up right now. Jamie, can you fact check us? But I'm fairly certain that we have surpassed China's peak.
China stopped counting. Just being honest.
I don't,
It's the truth, though.
because I know we surpassed China, but they were on the decline.
Right, that is true. But I'm just saying they stopped counting their cases because they're on the decline.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
But
So
yeah,
they're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel now.
so we've surpassed China right now, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
fairly certain that I think we've surpassed their peak, which is crazy. But it's also one of those things where we are getting all the facts and that kind of stuff, and we have almost tripled our number of recovered people in the past 2 days.
That's wonderful. That's
Yeah.
wonderful news. Hold on. If I put Corona count, will they know what I mean, or is that just really
Here,
poor taste?
I'll send, because I've been using this live stream video that it's just compiling the different stuff from around the country. I'll put it in the chat right now.
Can I view by country right here? Coronavirus, COVID-19.
Yeah, if you look at that, that will give you current statistics on it. Peak.
Oh wait, you sent it, and there's still 2 people. Oh, Hannah, hey girl.
Oh, Hannah's in there?
Yeah.
Hey, Hannah, what's up?
Appreciate having you here.
Yeah, we'll have our faces on here soon. Maybe we could pull. Maybe we could pull Hannah on later too.
Yeah, put my face up there, man.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and
put
put
my
the faces up there.
disgusting mug up there.
My disgusting.
I was gonna say, I want your approval. I know you can't see very well because I have ratty facial hair, but I feel like for the first time in my life, it looks like it suits me.
I like it.
It's really simple. I
could-
shaved it really tight with my lip, and I think it looks better that it's not hanging over too much.
Yeah, I actually trimmed my facial hair because I was like, because I felt like it was getting to the point where like I didn't want it to be any longer. You know,
I could see that.
So I was like, I liked it where it was at this. If it was, I don't want it to be longer than, because I felt like it was getting too long and like it was just more of a hassle than it was. Because I told you the entire reason I started not shaving in the first place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was just like, I felt like I just didn't want to put in the effort.
So I have a topic. This is probably poor taste, but I just wanted to bring it up. One of my friends just lost a loved one, not from the virus, but I just want to bring up as food for thought. This is like the worst time. This is like the worst time for that to happen.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted all of us in the chat to acknowledge that and be thankful for the people we have in our lives, because this is like, you can't really have much of a ceremony. Even healthcare professionals coming to the house could be like putting you at risk.
Yeah.
That's the society we live in right now. Yeah, and it really upsets me.
Yeah. I definitely feel that. I actually, for the first time in months, I had a conversation with my dad yesterday because I was concerned about him because, but like talking about stuff like how this was the worst time in general for it. Like there's so much stuff like lined up, and like with the elections coming up, with stuff like the Olympics, just general current event stuff, but also with society being how it is. I feel like this may seem like it's the worst time, but actually I feel like it's going to lead to better strives for certain things. You know?
I really hope, man. I really hope. I was talking to my mother because she's a worrier like me, and I told her, we just have to kind of find peace in our own time.
Yeah.
And hope that everyone comes out appreciating each other and little things more. Like I never say this because I'm not a boomer, but I am a boomer. I never say phone bad. I don't think it's a new thought. I don't think it's a
Yeah.
very smart thought or tech bad. But I'm not lying when I say that as soon as I can, I will go to a public park.
Yeah.
As soon as I can, I will go hiking. Like, I just want space. I want to get out. I want perspective on everything.
Yeah. I actually want to, not necessarily as soon as, but within like a few weeks to a month of when everything kind of starts opening back up, I want to go on a road trip.
I want to go camping. You kidding
Yeah.
me?
I want to get out and do something. One, I want to go somewhere far away because gas prices are literally the lowest they've been like since Bush was president, basically.
HW?
Yeah. Yep. Wait, no.
Wow. So
No, I think it was W. I don't know.
You sure you mean, because pre-Desert Storm is when right around gas prices started to go up because we were fighting all
Yeah.
those people who give us our oil. So yeah,
No,
probably both
that
Bushes even.
yeah, I think it was W specifically because whenever my sister started driving, this was right around
Would
the
be
2008 recession, which I guess it would have been Clinton or W senior, like HW, because
2008?
no, senior. So George H.W. the
Yeah,
the
that's what I was saying. The gas would have been cheaper
yeah.
pre-HW because of Desert Storm and all the stuff that went on in the
Yeah.
Middle East.
But so I originally was thinking just George W. because of the 2008 recession. But I remember my sister when she started driving, gas prices were at a crazy high. They were at $4.
I remember my
Yeah.
parents complaining about that, and I didn't understand.
I actually went on a walk with my family today, and we walked past a gas station. I hadn't seen gas stations in such a long time at this point that I looked up and I was like, it's $1.69 a gallon. Like
It's crazy.
like the best
Absolutely
I
crazy.
saw was whenever I first started driving, which was right after Trump got elected. Gas prices were at an all time low again. They were at $1.90.
Yeah, see, I'm what they call not a driver, so I don't think about that until I see prices.
I
I
didn't
don't
think
really think about it.
I didn't think about it too much until like I started driving, and I mentioned it to like my parents and that kind of stuff because even my mom who is a driver, her thought about it is like I'm not gonna worry about the prices because no matter what I'm gonna need gas. Like the gas prices aren't gonna stop me from getting gas.
Yeah, it's kind of a raw deal. I saw Han. I'd love to go camping. I'd
Yeah,
love to go on a road trip with you.
yeah.
Um,
We'll have to
Camping is fantastic, man.
we'll all have to go out and go camping after all this clears up.
Before
Especially
before we move away from all the outdoors topics, I have a story. But if you have something to say that first.
yeah, I was just gonna say especially with like us being cooped up and not seeing each other for a full half a semester. Like
I mean,
getting a few of us together to go camping would definitely at least would lift my own spirits, and I feel like
oh yeah, It depends where we're going too, because what I would consider campsites in my area are not the most convenient for the rest of you. Like, I would
yeah.
cross the border. I always go to Houston Woods over in Oxford,
Oh no,
Ohio.
I want to go on a trip, like drive.
Then we could do that, man.
Yeah,
I stay with
drive.
my friends at some sites up in Oxford, man.
Yeah, yeah. That
And we do an annual camping trip there.
same here, Hannah. Like I have after the semester ends, I have like 3 weeks of nothing. So that
I hopefully will have a job. I haven't heard back yet from
mhm.
where I auditioned because I think this whole virus thing has changed everything.
Yeah,
So I might not have a gig. So yeah, I'll probably have nothing going on.
yeah. So we'll talk about it. This is more personal stuff, so we don't have
No,
to.
it's interesting stuff. It's
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah.
I was
I
gonna
actually,
mention
yeah. You go ahead.
this is my story.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to provide images. Because sometimes people dox people. Doesn't really matter. So I haven't told anybody about this yet, other than I think Jillian and Emma.
Mhm.
I went on a walk today.
Yeah.
There wasn't really a walk. I actually was telegraphing it. There was a clearing across from my grandmother's house I wanted to check out that I went to when I was a kid. And I went out there, and it wasn't very clear. It was like a very giant opening to where like a person could fit, and then not like just clove, or I didn't want to find out what kind of uh, grass, so I wasn't going to play that game. But there recently was an area that was completely deforested that has a creek running through it. I wanted to check that out. So I have some pictures. I might put them in the Discord for you to see, and some videos from my little expedition. And I couldn't get across the creek, man. Oh, it made me so angry. It was a deep creek. Like, if I got a running start, I might make the jump. But it was wet, and I didn't want to get dirty because then my parents are going to go, "Where were you?"
Yeah, I consider myself a professional creek hopper myself.
I used to be, man.
But
I'm rusty.
There was I like mountain climbing in the Smokies and Appalachians, like not the big ones. I like those because like you they're just an above average hike. It's not too bad. But
I like hikes every now and then. They're nice.
Yes, but so I really like it. I have always loved getting to the top and seeing the most beautiful view you will ever see. But I liked going once where I went to the top, and on the way down I decided I didn't want to take the normal way. So I noted
You went the long way. Took 8 right.
I remember that on the way up we followed a creek bed. There was a creek bed that followed the path all the way up. And so once I first got to that creek bed, I was like, I'm going to take this creek bed all the way down. And so I got in the creek and I hopped from rock to rock all the way, and it was far enough away that you couldn't really talk to the other people on the path, but you would kind of get close to each other and you would see each other from a distance and that kind of stuff. But it would intersect a few times. And so the first time we intersected, there was somebody I was with who started laughing. It was like, "It looks like you're having fun there," and he joined with me, and then we both did it. And then the second time we intersected, somebody else was like, "This looks like fun," and next thing I know, after a few intersections, we have 5 or 6 people all hopping from rock to rock on this creek bed, following the rest of the group down the mountain. And it was just
that is legendary.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
How long did it take you to get down the mountain? Much faster because of the hopping?
Well, it should have been much faster, but also at the same time we wanted to stay with the rest of the group, and we were goofing off. So it altogether probably, when it should have taken us an hour and a half, it probably took us an hour. And this was a fairly short mountain too. And it was after the wildfires in Tennessee, and so they closed off the top of the mountain, so we weren't able to go all the way up either. Yeah, so
it's a shame, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My next topic, since I guess we're just blowing through topics tonight.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I could tell this story first. I went to Pooh Woods, as I call it, Houston Woods, with some of my friends. We go about every year to these campsites, and they're not very campsite. Like, we're in the middle of nowhere. There's power, there's water, and there's commodes. So, I mean, it's pretty accommodating, but you still get the sleeping on the dirt aspect of it, and fending for yourself and getting away from most people, because there are a lot of people depending on what plot you choose. But we went the time it was more busy, and the year before we didn't, and I liked it a lot more then. We didn't have neighbors. Much cooler when you don't have neighbors. You have all this space then to call your own. But we went this year, and it was one of those things where you didn't know if it was going to happen until it was happening, because we showed, and one of our guys kept showing up, and then he lived eerily close by, so he'd go, "I'm going to go back home. Something's going on." and then he'd be back and go, "Oh, I left something,"
Mm-hmm.
and then he'd go back home, and then he'd come back, and then I think there was one more instance that was going to happen again, and then he didn't do it.
Yeah.
So we weren't even sure if we were going to stay there with him there.
Mm-hmm.
That was the whole reason we had the trip, is all three of us.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was great, and then I kept seeing frogs, man. I caught like 2 frogs. I was seeing frogs and toads at the wazoo. We found a snake.
Mm-hmm.
There's a family ahead of us that found a snake too. A lot of crawfish. Creek. It was just cool to know that, like, I don't know, life is out there all over, man. And my favorite thing was the first year we stayed there, they have the bathrooms there. There's like one light outside of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was walking in the bathroom because I didn't want to pee on a tree like I had done like 6 times before. And I hear the buzz of the light and look down, and there's like 5 or 6 frogs all catching bugs. They all whip their heads at me. I step toward them, and then they all like scatter.
Mm-hmm.
It's hilarious. They all just looked at me, kind of looked at each other, and then were gone in an instant, like they were never there.
It kind of reminds me of every time you describe aliens
Or
showing up.
goblins. Goblins,
Where,
specifically,
yeah.
I did that. You look at the goblins, they all scatter like Ratatouille, and they're
Well,
different.
I think of specifically every time you have like a hypothetical that you give me, and you're talking about like you walk into your room and there's aliens sitting there, and they're gobbling like eating
No,
eating
I think
something.
I think you're getting the goblins and the aliens mixed up, because the classic goblin one is you turn your kitchen light on, and on the floor there's a bunch of little goblins playing poker, like that picture of those dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And then they all look at you. You look at them, and they just scatter, start like jumping under your covers like little borrowers, like itty bitty people, like ah. It's like chaos for them, and you're just like. But yeah, that happened, and then yeah, it's just weird to see all that wildlife.
Mm-hmm.
My point was with all this, I was trying to segue and it didn't work. I've been playing these Uncharted games, man, and they made me want to go out and have my own adventures and stuff. So I had one today that was very anticlimactic because I don't have the hops that Nathan Drake has at all. Suck.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of that, so the first and second game I've beat already, and the
Yeah.
fourth game.
Yeah.
I love both of those games. The first one's a little clunky technically. Good story, good mechanics, good game. Second game, a great story, good mechanics, good game.
Mm-hmm.
The third game, good story. Oh my god, what are you guys thinking? The mechanics are fine.
Yeah.
But have you ever played a game where you know that some elements have been rushed,
Mm-hmm.
or some things about it don't work as well as
Yeah.
last
The
entry?
specifically, I think of Arkham Origins.
Yeah. Because like Uncharted 3 has a couple legs up on the other two.
Yeah.
Graphically, it's much better. The climbing mechanics are much better, much more responsive, even than in 2. And 2's was really, really good. Combat, you tried, guys. They tried to make the hand-to-hand better.
Mm-hmm.
It got too complicated. You used to be able to take out guys like that.
Yeah.
By hand. Just beat the ever-loving crap out of them, move on. Now it's like an ordeal. So you'll get shot at and get killed before you even can finish the hand fight. Mm-hmm. So frustrating. But the object of that game is to take people out as fast as possible. I've learned that with Uncharted. That's because they come in waves. So it's boom, that guy's dead. Boom, that guy's dead. Boom, that's so like I've gotten to the point where with handguns I could headshot in the old 2 games. Mm-hmm. Like those mechanics I know, but they've changed the aiming system. They've changed how cover works. They made that cover a little better.
Yeah.
They changed the most thing hand to hand. And then the puzzles. Oh my god. Your game has 3 things, man. Shooting, puzzles, and climbing. The only thing they got going is climbing right now, because the puzzles are so counterintuitive. I have no clue what to do every single time. I have looked up tutorials for stuff that babies could figure out once you see it.
Yeah.
But it's like the other games, Yeah, duh, it's in the notebook. I know. I opened the journal and I see a pretty clear idea of what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not intuitive in the slightest, and it drives me crazy because it makes the play experience really frustrating. And it was so freeing for me with the other ones because, like, Naughty Dog, they're fantastic, but as a developing team, they have a habit of making games that have a difficulty spike randomly out of nowhere,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have two options: throw the controller or get good. Those are your two options. And with the Crash games, which is the first series they developed, I played religiously. That's the policy. It's give up or get good. Just get good. Figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Get creative. They're making it really hard to get good when they keep changing the rules on me
Yep.
constantly.
Right. Mm-hmm.
The combat's really frustrating for me. There was this whole section I did where you just can't get a leg up. You get overwhelmed so quickly. You can't strategize fast enough. You can't problem solve fast enough. Um, and I think they started to realize that in that sequence I was doing, and they started giving me help, like scripted help. And then the story's kind of frustrating right now too. And I hated it because it's one of those games where the cinematics and the story is so good. Like I'll be into it. Like I'm like, oh, I love these characters. And then I got to do a shooting section or a puzzle, and I'm like,
Yeah.
ah. See, this I'm so angry. This isn't fun. This isn't what Uncharted is. The second game is hefty.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Grew me to never played any of them because I hated the tank controls. And then I feel like I told this on stream before, but my stepdad got a PSVR, and Resident Evil 7 worked with the PSVR. So I was like, okay, I just want to try this out. He already had the game, so I put it on the thing, and I I don't get scared. I don't like. I want to preface this by saying I'm the type of guy who doesn't watch scary movies because they don't scare me. And so like I I just nothing really bothers me that much. But that experience was the scariest thing I've ever been with because you have the headset on. I never played a horror VR games before. We had the headset
Smart.
on, and when the things that when the it wasn't zombies in this one. It was so this basic storyline is you're trapped in this house with these like hillbillies who are corrupted and evil, and you can't kill them. And so
I dig.
what really did me in was so it started out with went there because your girlfriend asked you to come there and everything, and you show up and you are just looking around this empty house, which the atmosphere is amazing. They did such good atmosphere, and you're looking around this seemingly empty house that just looks like animals have taken this over for the past 100 years. It's such a decrepit house. And you're walking around and you make it to the attic and you find the girl up there. Or at least I think this is how it goes. The game is really long and it probably took me 10 hours to beat. But which isn't that long, but I forgot a lot of details. Anyway, so you're in this house and you find the girl and it turns out she got corrupted by the people. And so she comes at you and with an axe, and you hadn't fought anything before in the game, and all of a sudden she comes at you right here. And the worst part about it is when you're in the headset, there is no escape. Like at least if you're playing a game, you can like look around and you know it's the screen, or at least look away.
Yeah.
When you're wearing the headset, there is no looking away. There is like it's coming at you and you can't stop it. So I got through that I had my mom, my stepdad, and my little sister try it out. My mom and my stepsister, they couldn't make it through the threshold. Like the atmosphere of the house was so like horrible that they couldn't make it through the threshold of the door. And then my stepdad, like he fell on the floor whenever she attacked him. Like this stuff is so scary. Like you laugh about people online being scared by this, but this stuff is legitimately scary.
Well, I
And
bet it is.
the worst part is you after that fight, you pass like she cuts off your arm and you pass out and you wake up in this house and you're at a table having dinner with the family. And so like you you like they're fighting and that kind of stuff, and like the dad chops off the son's arm and everything and flips the table, and he walks off, and everybody goes their own separate way, and you find a way to break out of your stuff. One of the creepiest parts was the grandma sat in her wheelchair staring at you the entire time. Like you couldn't interact with her. She didn't do anything to you. All she did was sit there and stare at you and everything.
It's
And
hilarious.
so you have to find a way to escape this house. And so I walked around and you check every room, you know. And started walking down the hallway, and you see the dad just walk like past the corner, and like just that got me so scared, and I couldn't do like I ran and just hid in one of the rooms and that kind of stuff, and then it was just honestly
I mean,
amazing.
with a Res Evil game like that,
Mhm.
with those horror type games, I have to like force myself to be okay with the consequences
Mhm.
so that I can actually continue with the game.
One of my things is I realize this after, but if you start getting scared by it, the first time you die, you are good. You may still be scared, but like that threshold of you died and you can come back. It lifts so much off your shoulder.
Because I'm
But
in the camp of I would purposefully early on do extremely stupid things to
yeah.
get killed so that I know worst case scenario this is what's going to
Mhm.
happen. So
Yeah.
at least I have some solace. Yeah, Outlast 2 is
Yeah.
like that, and
It's a lot like Outlast 2. That's yeah. The game is very similar to that, and it's
Outlast in general, man, is
oh
like
yeah,
that. Whew.
it's. Oof. I want to get more because I'm not like a horror movie person. There's a few horror
Horror
movies
games
that
are where it's at.
there's a few horror movies I like A Quiet Place. That's really good. There's a
Well,
few.
let me see if I can speak to this a little bit because I think I know what you're going to say. You're like me in the sense that you start hyperanalyzing everything
Hmm.
from a different perspective, and you go, "How is this?" I mean, you watch horror movies for two
Yeah.
reasons: to watch something rampage,
Hmm.
or for really good atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I know it's the atmosphere thing
Me
because
too,
that's what makes it
Hannah.
a quiet place.
I'm so excited for it.
A quiet place would not work without good atmosphere.
Hmm.
It just wouldn't. It just,
Yeah.
and that's what I
It
loved is horror
artist
movies are losing
like
that now.
I like the way it is filmed. Like John Krasinski did an amazing job as director with that. Like
I need to see that flick, man.
yeah,
I've been putting it off.
because there's the kind of stuff like the way they set it up at the beginning. I won't spoil too much about it, but the way they set it up at the beginning, it's like you're popped into this world and they're already past it, and you have to figure out through context clues what's going on, and stuff like that is very good. But you know the concept is the monsters attack you if they hear you, and
Mm,
like any little sound can spark them. It's basically like a like the Birdcage movie, except for
except it's good.
yeah, and it's and instead of seeing them if they hear you. So
Bird Box is what you meant, by the way. Birdcage is
Bird
with
Box,
Robin Williams and
yeah,
Nathan Lane, and they're homosexuals. You'd like that
yeah,
one too. That's a good
yeah.
one.
No, yeah, you're right, Bird Box. But anyway, so what
Hey, we're
real
about to run out, I think.
What?
Wait, no, it's two people. It's two people. We can go an
Yeah.
hour, couldn't we? I didn't get the
Yeah.
notification.
It will pop up before that happens. But anyway, so what really does it is, since there's no sound, every little sound is so crisp and also has to mean something. And so there's that kind of stuff. Uh, there's a scene where where she has to give childbirth.
Yep,
That
silently. I was wondering if that was going to happen in one of the movies. I have another
mm,
question for you. I wonder
yeah.
what your take is on this. I think it's possible, but it's just funny to imagine.
Mm-hmm.
She's pregnant, right? And these aliens have already been around, right?
Yeah.
They had to have very quiet sex at some point. They had to make the
They
decision to bring people into this
surprisingly
world.
they answer that.
They addressed that?
They address that in like, not a way as in like they have sex or anything like that in the movie, but when you know, but so they have a very sensual moment, and so they like go down to the basement, that kind of stuff, and like they have headphones in, like earbuds, one in each one, and like they can't speak to each other, that or anything like that. And so like they hold each other close, and instead of it being animalistic, it has to be very sensual. And I feel what really does it so well is the fact that they are married, so like the chemistry and the like
It's real.
sensual nature of them, it really helps.
Um, I have something else to say about horror stuff.
Hmm.
Um, I just love atmosphere and creativity in horror,
Yeah.
man. The more creative you get with concepts and the more concrete your rules
Hmm.
are, the better the movie is.
Yeah.
Me and Hannah watched a zombie flick. It was South Korea's first zombie flick. It's called The Train to Busan. I heavily recommend. I don't watch foreign films very often,
Hmm.
but as far as zombie film,
I'd heard about that.
it's fantastic. And it was one of the highest grossing films there. It was like a pretty good blockbuster.
Hmm.
And South Korean filmmakers are fantastic in the way that they use visual storytelling. And I can't help but think that John Krasinski didn't take some, you know what I'm saying? When your
Hmm.
movie is mostly silent,
Yeah.
you're probably taking some tips from them because they're so good with the visual storytelling and
Hmm.
transitions. And even in A Train to Busan, the director, it's not a heavily visual storytelling
Yeah.
movie in the sense of like something like, I don't know, man, creative shots necessarily. But early
Hmm.
on in the film, you see that South Korean style of like really creative transitions, where it's like,
Hmm.
oh yeah, that's satisfying to watch.
Yeah.
Um, and the ending is fantastic. It's one of those movies where the stakes are extremely high. It'd be
Hmm.
perfect to watch in this era of virus because there's a sequence where these characters have just went through a heart wrenching fight against these zombies on a train, which raises stakes. Heart wrenching fight, right? And they
Hmm.
get to the car with all the people, and you expect the people to go, "Oh, thank you so much! Like, I'm so glad you're alive." And then they lost one of their friends. One of their friends sacrificed because one of the dicks in the front kept the door shut for too long. They make it to the front door that was barred because the people were
Hmm.
paranoid. And the people want to cast them out. They said, "We you could be infected. We don't know. We don't know." And the lead character attacks the guy I hate, and I wanted to see his head blown off. And he kind of gets his comeuppance, sort of. This businessman, dickhead,
Hmm.
and the lead character, who was stereotypically calloused businessman father, has just watched another father die, and is super angry about it. And he goes, "You let that man die," and just starts wailing on the guy, start trying to choke him and kill
Hmm.
him, and go, "You let that guy die. You all let that happen." And you feel it. You want him to really hurt this person. And the guy gets up and goes, "He's infected. He's crazy. He's acting exactly like the other people did."
Hmm.
And the guy's not wrong about that. Him acting like the other zombies did. So there's this beautiful shot where they've kicked them in between car. And on one side, you see other people pointing and screaming at them, pounding on the door. And then you see zombies. And your brain starts to go, which side are the zombies? Who's the real mob here? Who's the real enemy?
Hmm.
Because the zombie, they can't control what they're doing. They have no conscience. They have no brain. These people are choosing to be savages. They're choosing to be monsters.
Wow.
They wouldn't do that in a Western movie, my friend. I mean,
That
they kind of do that in
they
Walking Dead, but
Walking
not
Dead is
that
the
creative at
closest
all.
the closest they get is
Not
The
that
Walking
creative.
Dead. And with The Walking Dead, it's more of like shock horror type stuff.
Yeah,
Which
in the
works
West we have to do
yeah,
that.
which works pretty well when it works. Which, for example, like the governor in I don't know if you've watched much
I
Walking
have
Dead or
not.
anything.
Emma has religiously. She might join
I
later.
I
So
I
can't
love
really speak to
I
this.
love The Walking Dead. I really need to catch up on it. I stopped watching a couple seasons ago after
Coral.
yeah. I think it was right after Coral died.
Coral
Coral.
dies?
Oh yeah, sorry. Spoiler alert.
I hope he dies. I hate that kid.
Yeah,
Hope
but
he dies.
anyway, so there was this character who's the governor who right after everything broke out, he
Hey, I didn't know either, you idiot.
what
She didn't know either that Coral died.
this is from like years ago. Oh my god. I'm sorry.
You
Sorry.
mean
Okay.
Negan dies? The Asian guy
Yeah.
gets his head smashed in like a watermelon?
Yeah. I mean,
I knew that.
I could spoil more people who die. I'm not gonna be
I
that horrible. There's somebody who died very recently that would make you cry.
I think it's stupid sometimes when they kill really likable characters in television because it's literally just like,
Just to get the ratings up. It's all it
oh
does.
yeah, it's a publicity thing, especially for a show like The Walking Dead. Because I hate
Yeah.
to be that guy, but from most fans I've heard, uh, around season 5 it stopped being good, so they just started going to Crazyville. Like
Yeah.
they threw all of the good ideas they had out the window
So
after I think having a poor season 4. Like people didn't really care for it, so they're like, we're gonna go balls to the wall and you're gonna like it, and they just
yeah.
went crazy wackadoo.
So it's really weird. They keep changing the atmosphere and style of it. So like the first season was very much like zombie movie survival stuff, where like they travel to go to CDC and all that kind of stuff, and like they have one goal is to find the rest of humanity and see what they can do. And then everything happens that doesn't work out for them. Then the second season is very much like, okay, let's shelter on this in in this farmhouse, and they shelter on a farm and that kind of stuff, and it's very much like a rural vibe of it and that kind of stuff, where it's like, okay, we're just gonna wait it out, we're just gonna wait it out, and then the next one is next season. It's like, oh, so the zombies invaded the farm, and that wasn't going to last as well anyway. Let's just find something bigger and more secure. And so they take the prison and that kind of stuff. And so it keeps amping it up a notch into where like it had a logical place where it was going, but it just went crazy because I think this character really did it for them, and it's the governor who uh he worked really well. So he was basically I'm kind of a little fuzzy on the story, but so after all this went down, the little suburban town that he lived in, he walled off the area and claimed himself as governor. And so after he walled it off, he had put people like got guns, put people to stand guard, and was his goal was to make this nice society. So for the people inside, they all loved him. They all thought he was the best and thought he could do no wrong, and they because he was providing all the stuff for them. This is showing like the inside view of like why people fall for malicious dictators. And so all that, and then you get to the point where you see stuff like him him raping one of the main characters in the show, and you see him do stuff like they after the one a character breaks out of his capture, they find like jars full of heads and that kind of stuff, and all this weird stuff. So they escape. And so that kind of like malicious, like weird, disturbing stuff really pulled people in. And so after
They just leaned into that, didn't they?
that storyline was over, they were like, okay, how do we one up this? And so they get a weirder, more chaotic, more rapey person to come do it, which is Negan. And so it's just like it
See,
was.
I like villains who aren't. I probably would like the governor because of I like villains who
Oh yeah, I
you
really
can
liked him.
empathize with and go, I get why they do what they do. And also I like villains where you see a shred of good or a shred of understanding in them for the main character. I love villain main character relationships where they have to begrudgingly respect each other, but if they
Oh
had the
yeah,
chance, they would destroy the
that
other one. You know what I'm saying?
the governor was an amazing villain for the show. I feel like he was a perfect like antithesis to Rick. And so like and what it really did what I really liked what it did for audiences and that kind of stuff was it showed how people like Hitler can rise to power, where these people were broken and they were looking for something, and somebody gave them everything they would want. And so I talked about this before, but I don't think it was on the stream. But when you give people everything they want, they lose hope, because hope,
There's nothing to strive for.
while a lot of people think you lose hope when you lose more things, in essence, it is the opposite. Because in order to hope, you need something to hope for. So the
Yeah.
more stuff you have lost, the more stuff you have to hope for. So uh, after after he so wait oh yeah hope so what's happening here is he gives everyone everything they think they would need. They can have parties, they can live their normal life, they can eat well, and all this stuff, so they don't care about the fact that he is out there raping women and killing other societies and all this crazy stuff, because it's okay, I have everything I need.
It's a really smart storytelling.
Oh yeah. And
Um,
yeah. So
I also hate what I hated when I first started watching The Walking Dead because I started a long time ago and gave up on it. I don't like apocalyptic stories where there's no sliver of hope and they just continue to shock you and act like that's gonna be satisfying to watch. It's
yeah.
not, man. That's why I hate. Don't ever read The Road. You'll want to kill yourself. Don't ever watch a movie like The Road. You'll want to kill yourself.
So yeah, so
The Road movie's better actually than the book.
we read. So I told you about my Christian ethics class, right? And so in my ethics class, we read a book, which in essence the book was giving you a synopsis of all these books and what they mean for different aspects of uh like different like ethical, what's the word I'm looking for, principles,
Schools of thought, maybe
ethical principles. So the one they had for the principle of hope was the road.
I hate The Road, man.
And so
But I'll go give them this though. There is a pervading theme, especially with the kid, the lead character's son, of the idea that he's the symbol of hope.
Yeah. So I forgot the name, but I was 90% sure it was the road. But correct me if I'm wrong. Road is about this father and son. They don't even mention the names.
Never. Nope.
And they wake up in this apocalypse, and they basically have like going like all over the place and keep finding different people, and every person they meet is horrible people and like all this stuff, you know?
Yeah, more or less. That's the book. The thing that I hated about it was it was almost like, this is solely opinion, because I guarantee if I spent a year deconstructing this book, I'd go, it's brilliant. Because it probably is very well written. is that it seemed cliche in so many ways.
Mhm.
Like the main plot, it throws you in the middle,
Yeah. See,
and then
I had
throughout
the
the book there's
luxury of
flashbacks.
not having to read the book. I just got a synopsis of it and then why it was it showed hope, you know?
It's one of the most hopeless pieces of fiction I've ever read, so
Mhm.
I think it's hilarious that FX like hope. The
So,
end is super hopeful, though.
yeah.
I love the end. I think they
Yeah.
handled the end extremely well. There's a crazy firefight.
Mhm.
The dad throughout the whole book has tuberculosis, it's implied, or pneumonia, some type of respiratory disease, probably TB, and he's
At
slowly dying.
Red Dead
And
Redemption.
he's slowly dying because there's nothing to do for it because the world's ended. And he says goodbye to his son. And as he's doing that, he's on a beach, I think, because they finally wanted to go to the shore because the boy thought that taking his dad to a warmer place would help with his respiratory problem and they could get away. And I think eventually they made it to a beach that wasn't far from, I think, super far from where they lived. I think that's the point. Is they heard there were people on this region and they were going to go by foot on the road.
Mhm.
And they never explain what killed everybody. It's heavily implied that it was conflict, some type of conflict, but there's no radiation ever mentioned, which is strange.
Yeah. Which I almost like that better because
I like it too.
that's not what matters in the story.
No, it's the boy and the father's relationship.
Mhm.
It's the all the lessons the father and son learn from the people they interact with. There are these cultists who are trying to kill people. They're cannibals, and they're totally sane. They just know that it's the best way to live, so they shoot people and eat them.
Mhm.
There are these people. One of the most chilling things I remember is they find this house. I love how we thought this was gonna be a positive, fun stream. They find this house, and it's completely empty. But there's all this evidence of a ton of people being nearby. They find food.
Mhm.
They find all this stuff. It's like, oh, there should be a lot of people here. And eventually they go in the basement, and there's like not hundreds, it's an exaggeration, like 50 plus people naked, um, emaciated, tiny little people, and they're all laying together, like huddled together, little goblin people. And it's implied that they just had a big old orgy. And they're continuing to do that and just fill that hole and eat whatever they can and just be disgusting because I don't know. And then I think there was one place too where they found a mass suicide that was similar.
Yeah.
Because I think when they first went there, they thought it was that. Like the dad went down first and thought they were all dead. And they say, oh no, they're all almost dead. Like they are hanging on by a thread. That stuck with me. The idea that like it was cold, but everything was burnt freaked me out. Like there were no flora, fauna, there were no trees really,
Mhm.
just ash.
Yeah.
But it was freezing out. That confused me too. Everywhere they talked about it being really cold, the temperature dropped quite a bit
Yeah.
to where the mornings were really cool and then the nights were pretty cool, but the daytime was comfortable.
Mhm.
It's crazy.
I remember what did it for me, making me think about the book was she mentioned one part uh, where she mentioned all that, and I remember the stuff about like the mass suicide and the orgy, where she mentioned those kind of things, where these people are so like without hope and like have nothing left, and then she mentioned the I like them finding a coke and how the simple idea of finding a coke
We haven't
was
seen Cargo.
was enough to push them to keep moving forward.
Yeah, there's little things like that, and the ending is
So
awesome because the pop dies and they find a family, and the dad can emotions to the kid to go to him, and then they have a little girl actually, and a dog, and the dog and the little girl come up first,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no dialogue shared that we get to hear, and he just joins them. And I think the dad actually watches his son walk away, and then he dies. So he got to know that his child was safe, which was kind of the whole point of the whole book.
That's
I just nipped my finger. It was
Yeah.
kind of the whole point.
So yeah,
because he sacrifices so much for this kid again and again.
Yeah. So the reason I know so much about this book that I never read was after we read the chapters and that kind of stuff, we had to present on certain things, and then the one that I was assigned was this chapter was the road, and so hey, Emma's here.
Hey, baby.
But yeah,
hate the road, man. I hate the road.
It completely changed my view on hope though, because if I had just read the road, I would probably just suffered through and just been like, yeah, and probably wouldn't have actually
insufferable, man.
So, but because I had to approach it with this idea of finding the hope and the fact that stuff as simple as a bottle of Coke can be.
Yep. I remember that sequence too. Really memorable. Really memorable. The dad finds a bottle of Coke and gives it to his son. Makes his day. So many things like that.
So there was, I forget if it was a line in the book or from the synopsis or whatever, but the idea of you just have to carry the flame.
Yeah, they mentioned that.
Yeah. So that was how they kind of ended it. Was hope is given to you by God when you have nothing else to hold on to, and so when you have nothing is when you have hope, and so hope, they equated hope to the idea of you having to hold the flame for humanity. You have to hold the flame for filling the gap, because that's why I was thinking of movies like Avengers Endgame being the most hopeful movie in the MCU, because everyone lost everything.
But they didn't lose hope completely.
And that's why it works so well.
Don't give me hope.
That's why it works so well. Even Hawkeye, who
the realist, the biggest realist,
the biggest realist, he was like, he just said, "Don't give me hope," because he knew just looking at Natasha
was enough, man.
So hope is not something you can lose very easily at all. It is you can't lose hope. What happens is you get so much that hope gets lost in the mix.
What a good philosophical conversation to have.
Yeah. Leading into, we haven't got to the actual
I have one more topic before we get to what you've been waiting for.
You get to the one more topic, and I can get to what my big thing I wanted to hit.
I'll have the other ones too, and we can talk about Community. We can talk about some other shows too, because that's underrated shows are my middle name, man.
Mm-hmm.
So I got the YOLO app recently.
Yeah.
Which is, I didn't know this thing existed. I mean, I interacted with it a few times without realizing what it was. It's a app that is an attachment to Snapchat, and it allows you. This is for the viewers at home. You guys all know what it is, but it was interesting to me that you can do all this anonymous stuff, because I'd seen Hannah doing it and I wanted to give it a shot, so I did it. And the first one was like a joke thing. It was fun, whatever. And then the second one, I asked for compliments, and man, my world was rocked. People are so kind. People are so kind.
You wanna know a secret, Brady?
Were you the one about my height?
No, I put in 3 different things. I want you to try to figure out what those 3 different times I put in.
Way to pull them up?
Because I put in 3 different things for compliments, and they were basically all real compliments, but some of them were like
I hated that. Some of you guys did multiple, Because then it made it seem to me, because I knew in all reality it was like 6 people,
Yeah.
probably 6, 7 people, maybe less.
Hmm.
That you guys are like, if you spam me, I can't tell that it's the same person, which is really cruel.
Which
Someone like me.
I've done it once before, and that was one of the things I hated about it was I would get things and I wasn't sure if they were from one person, and like they would always do this thing like you like I really like you always get the one that's like I like you or something like that.
Oh, I got one kind of like that. Here's the one that I thought I shared with Emma that was hilarious. Someone asked me, "Are Emma and you still together?"
I remember seeing you post that one.
How is that? How is that a spam one? My favorite one, and I hope it wasn't you. If it was, I'm about to suck your wiener for a little while. King of Comedy was my favorite.
That was not me. I wish I had put that.
That was really sweet. I loved those lobes though. Was that you?
Yep.
Hell yeah! I'm glad you owned that up, man. They're natural. Thanks for asking. Nice prostate
No,
was probably
I have attached earlobes. See, I'm
best
real
toes in the
sus.
Midwest.
That
That was
wasn't.
either that was Hannah.
Yeah, that was
What
probably
about
you
my
then.
dark chocolate complexion me?
No, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. The first one was a sincere compliment that I put, and then the other two were kind of half jokes.
It wasn't the one about my height, was it?
No.
Someone said you ain't too tall. They got a death wish, man.
Yeah.
I put in my group chat somewhere. I said the wrath of God will come down on them. Stanley Kincaid is calling that person out wherever they are. The wrath of God will come down and smite thee. I don't appreciate that. I thought it was funny. Well, my response was was creative genius one of them?
Wait, creative genius? No, that was not one of them.
This was way too sweet. Few people in the world have the light that lives inside you. Was that you?
No.
You really looked like you were gonna say it.
Yeah, I love that one, and it's definitely something I would say because I love the poetic nature of stuff like that. Like you
So sweet.
like I'm a poetic type of guy, so it's like.
Do you say that just to get phone numbers? I'm a poetic type of guy.
No, but I tend to say stuff as if I'm giving a motivational speech.
I try, man. My favorite response was someone said you were unabashedly peculiar.
Mm-hmm.
And I said nobody normal was ever remembered, which is
Yeah.
one of my favorite quotes I've ever said. I continue to say I've said that for years now because people.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted a rebuttal as a kid because you probably heard this too.
Yeah.
Little girls on the because it doesn't matter what little boys say, they're brats. You know why do you think people want to bash them over the head with a car? You know.
Yeah.
But little girls though they're pretty normal, but they'll occasionally say really cutting things. And I remember as a kid always hearing, "You're weird. You're so weird. Why are you so weird?"
Mm-hmm.
It stuck with me, man. So I finally have a rebuttal, and it's nobody normal was ever remembered.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want my youngest kid when some kid walks up to me and goes, "You're weird." I want them to say, "You're gonna die, and nobody's gonna care because you were normal," and then walk away.
Mm-hmm.
How much of a mic? Like he would probably get detention. That was the meanest thing ever.
Oh, yeah.
But how much of a mic drop would that be? What a mic drop! Like that's a drop of lighter on a can of kerosene. Watch it explode.
Yeah. Here's a quick anecdote for you to think of too. I got detention once.
Say the M word.
No, I want you to try to figure out what it is because honestly, there were a few things I remember. One time I got out of detention because I was supposed to have it for the stupid reason of I had my phone went off in class, and the teacher gave me detention for it.
Is that teacher retired now? Because if not,
Yep,
I'm
they
about to retire him.
they were retired. She bragged about she was a geography teacher. She bragged about having a globe in her room that still had the Soviet Union on it.
That's not hard to do. You go to
Yeah.
an antique store, you can find that in 10 minutes, man.
But she was like, "Oh yeah, I got this." I forget if she said when she was in high school or whenever she started teaching.
Probably when
But
she started teaching, because in the
yeah.
I use that technique to date globes. I look
Oh
there,
yeah.
then I look at Burma, which has been changed to Myanmar.
hmm
This is just weird stuff I know. And then
Myanmar.
I check.
I've met people from Myanmar. They're
They're cool,
really
aren't they?
they
Burmese
so
people.
yeah, so there's a Burmese like Baptist group. Like a specific sector of Baptist, and they are some of the most insightful people I've ever met. Like, so they
And
told
they
me
live in a
this.
gorgeous landscape.
They
So
told me the story of them. Uh, so they have this huge festival where they thank God for everything that God does, and they prepare a big meal and that kind of stuff, and they prepare a bunch of fruits and all the fruits and stuff that they've gathered and that kind of stuff, and they put it
hmm
all together, and they just unabashedly thank God for the stuff that they've been given. And he told me once that like whenever he moved to America to develop this church in Indy, he they somebody asked him like, how can like this is amazing, how can we do this in America? And he told them that the whole idea of this was stolen from the American tradition of Thanksgiving. That Americans have just forgot what Thanksgiving is about.
I would love. Uh, have you ever watched the Charlie Brown Christmas special? I assume you have. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. The scene, I almost cried talking about it because it's very touching.
hmm
I love Linus's speech in that so much because Linus always has his blanket. It's such a character defining thing, right?
hmm
And when he starts telling the story of Christ's birth, when he says, "Do not be afraid," he drops it
hmm
and then doesn't have it the whole rest of the time. And he's telling the gospel, and he's so excited to let everyone know what this whole holiday is really celebrating.
hmm
And then he stops talking, walks over, picks up the blanket, sucks his thumb. It's like so subtle, but it's
hmm
so gorgeous that he doesn't need it anymore. He's not afraid. Such a good character moment. We don't have that anymore. But I was wondering, I wish there was a speech like that in the Thanksgiving special. Like really meaningful like that for no reason.
hmm
You don't know what Thanksgiving's about, Charlie Brown? I don't know. Well, I made it through
Yeah.
all my topics. If you want to talk about
Yeah.
community, loser,
Yeah. Okay.
finally
So
you can.
so
I'm gonna
let's
put a
talk.
timer.
Let's
Put the
talk.
timer on.
So listen, I gave you over an hour to talk about anything you wanted.
Hey, you talked during that hour though.
I
I'm
did.
giving you 15 minutes. Go.
No. Okay. So I want to start out with painting
Don't
the
rush.
picture.
You have 15 minutes.
No, I have so much to get out in this 15 minutes.
15
I
minutes.
have
Save you
so much.
15% or
I
more.
have so much to talk about from this show in this 15 minutes. So there
Fine,
are.
I'll give you 20. I'll restart it. Keep going.
So I'll paint the picture of this show and just start out with why this show did so horribly when I love this show so much. So picture it, 2009. It replaces. I had to look up what show it replaced on NBC, but
What did it replace?
it replaced the. I forgot. It's so unforgettable. I forgot the name of it, but it was literally like no joke. The title was like Average Joe. Like
It's like something boring.
literally the most mundane, boring show you'd ever think of. And so it replaced that, and it was put in the Thursday evening slot for NBC, and which it came out and was amazing. People loved it, like it critically accepted very well. But what really hurt it was the fact that NBC had three other comedy shows going on at the time. The
What were
Office,
they?
Parks and Rec, and 30 Rock. 3 landslide shows that did amazingly.
Titans, man.
Yes, huge titans. Not only that, it went on. It was on air at the same during the same time period as stuff like How I Met Your Mother and all these amazing shows that had already started and built their audience and were
They're
doing amazing.
established.
And they
Yeah.
started in 2009 competing with that.
Well, I was wondering if they were, because at NBC, if they were in the same lineup
Mhm.
as The Office.
They were.
Really,
Yep.
that's really sad.
So
That's
it
really
started
sad.
out like the pilot episode aired with 7 million people, and then basically every episode after that was between 4 and 5 million, and which isn't like is nothing compared to The Office, which was pulling in 9 to 10 million every single episode in their 5th season. It was rough starting, and then the second season came along, and things didn't look better, like money wise, financially, for the show. But the people who started watching the show held onto the show with an iron grip, saying this show is the best show I've ever seen.
That's so
And
sweet.
the
I wish
third
I had fans like that.
and the third season came around, and it did
Fish.
so much better. What?
Oh no.
What? Hello, Brady. Oh no! No, we'll have to go back. Come on. Don't worry, guys. We're going back. I promise. It's okay. Brady! Brady!
That my
Hello?
network said it. I'm sorry about that. My network said it was
Okay.
unstable or something. I don't know.
I wasn't sure if that
Probably
was
the
me or
storm.
you.
I think it was the storm. There's
Yeah,
a thunderstorm where I'm from right now. It's pretty nasty.
yeah. Okay, so, where was I at?
Season 5 fans were dedicated. They're dedicated.
Season 3. These
3. Sorry.
these fans were dedicated. This was their show. People were loving it. Writing was amazing, and this is all lead up to why the show did horribly. And then at the end of the 3rd season, uh, Dave Harmon,
Dan.
he Dan Harmon, sorry, but Dan Harmon, it came out that uh he Me Too'd a girl.
Yep. He had an affair with
Yep.
or
So
sexually assaulting or something or
yep.
wherever.
So it came out that all that stuff, and he was fired from the writing staff. At the same time, the Russo brothers were hired to direct the most amazing movie of all time, Captain America: Winter Soldier. And so they lost their writer, their lead writer. They lost their director, and so the 4th season had trouble picking up after that, and started with it had a mid-season pickup, which is never good for any show. And
No.
so, and then the 4th season is widely regarded as, like, the fans of the show, like most of them just say that is even part of the show anymore. This is a completely different, like, they have rejected that. Like, there's a few good things, but during that season, they lost the 2 heavy hitters in the show. Chevy Chase, who, did you know Chevy Chase was on the show?
I'm watching it now because Chevy Chase is on the show. Oh my god, I
Chevy
love Chevy
Chase.
Chase.
I'll get into Chevy Chase's role in the show, because I think they did amazing with Chevy Chase in the show. Chevy Chase and Donald Glover, the childish Gambino himself. They left the show during that season.
It's a big
Chevy
mistake.
Chase just flat out just stopped coming. He And then Donald Glover left to pursue his music career.
Right, because he was doing stand-up toward the time he was on Community, on and off.
So that happened, and then luckily, so the stars of the show said, like, we have to get Dan back. Like, I know what he did and that kind of stuff, but this isn't the same show without Dan. And so, like, they lobbied, and kind of like the James Gunn thing, they got Dan back on the show for the 5th season. But you can't really repair after that kind of stuff. It ruined the show, ruined the audience. And this was before a bunch of streaming and that kind of stuff. So it ruined the audience, and so the 5th season was their last season on NBC. And so throughout the entire show, they had a motto saying it was six
seasons in a movie, right?
6 seasons in a movie. And Dan Harmon wanted to stick to that, stick to his guns. He was like, I'm doing it. And so he partnered with none other than Yahoo Screen. I know, Yahoo Screen.
Very popular.
Very
one of my
popular.
First choices.
My personal favorite streaming service. I would not blame you if you've never heard of Yahoo Screen, because I didn't know existed until I started looking this up.
I didn't know until today when you told me about this stuff.
So yeah, so the 6th and final season of Community was on Yahoo Screen, and obviously that ain't going anywhere. But luckily, Dan Harmon was able to wrap up his show the way he wanted. And so this is why no one remembers the show, because it literally had everything going against it. Now to why I love the show.
Why you love Community?
So the premise of the show is that it's these people who go to a community college, and I'm a little bit of this I'm stealing from this other video. I'll try to link it after we're done here. But in the video, he mentions the fact that what makes this show stand out from all the others is the fact that all the other shows like How I Met Your Mother, The Office, and Friends have stuff where it's like relatable. Like everybody has some sort of experience like that. In a sense, that's where
everyone has a Dwight. Everyone has a.
That's where it kind of hinges on, and so Community, its whole thing is the fact that not everybody has an experience with community college. Most people probably don't, and so the characters in the show are not necessarily characters that you see on a regular basis. Not everyone knows somebody who's like the characters on the show. And that's what it hinges on, is the fact that this show isn't supposed to be familiar. And so one of the big things about the show is its meta-ness and the fact that it lives and dies on movie and TV tropes. And
I knew that. They have a lot of themed episodes.
Yeah, so it has a lot of themed episodes, and it knows that it's themed and that kind of stuff, and purposely makes it themed. Stuff like just the episode I was watching earlier today had they were having there was a foosball table, and like these two characters are playing foosball, and out of nowhere, this show that is like just a sitcom, they have an anime fight scene just right in the middle of the episode in this show that has nothing to do with cartoon, anime or anything. Just right in the middle. They have that. They have an episode that is supposed to be reminiscent of mafia movies, and which is probably my favorite episode. And so like there's this voiceover and everything, and one of the best characters on the show, his name's Abed, and his whole his whole thing is he's a weird guy who he watches TV and movies religiously, and it is revealed in the show like he didn't have a very good upbringing, so he was basically raised by TV and movies and that kind of stuff.
BoJack was raised by
Yeah,
TV.
yeah, it's very reminiscent of BoJack, and that's why I think is a big reason you like it. You would like it, and so all this partnered up with some of the best writing, best directing, and best acting I've ever seen. It, like I said, it
I feel like
has
you're pitching me this show. Like it doesn't exist yet, but you're
because
pitching it to me.
because I love this show so much, and I want somebody else to watch the show. I want other people to go out and watch this show. People in the audience, you need to go watch the show. People, well, chat. I don't know why you called you audience.
That's fine.
Yeah, yeah, you're my audience.
Yeah,
Anyways, so
that was a pretty good table pitch. Tell me about Chevy though. What do they do with
that's
Chevy?
why I'll go ahead and get into. So I'll start with Chevy Chase, which you might not like it, like what I have to say about Chevy Chase very much, but before this, I had never liked him in any movie he was in.
That's fine. Some people don't. I
I
adore him,
yeah,
but I haven't
but
seen the Lampoon stuff though. For the record, I haven't. I just like him.
Lampoon is basically all I've seen, so it's probably
SNL man, classic SNL is where he lives.
yeah.
He was
So
fantastic.
what I didn't like about him was the fact that he always plays this pretentious prick that thinks he's better than everyone else.
Hilarious.
And
Idiot.
so yeah, and so I see why people would like that, but like in my problem was like in National Lampoon's Vacation and that kind of stuff is it makes him out to be like he is the normal guy, even though he's not the normal guy. He's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, here's the thing with Chevy is in those movies they try to make him the everyman
Yeah, and he's
occasionally.
mhm.
It's how he reacts to things that make him more
Yeah,
unique.
and so
Like the Christmas one
yeah,
is pretty good about that.
so yeah, so what I'm getting at is they do the exact same thing in this one, but he's in his 70s. So
Doesn't work as well, does it?
so what's going on is the fact that he is what used to be charming because he was young, he was handsome, he had a full head of hair, he had a big like broad like strong chin and that kind of stuff.
He was
Where
a handsome guy. Chevy was handsome.
he was
Not
a
a
very
secret.
handsome, good-looking guy. Now all this all like his now he's not handsome. He's bald now.
He's
He's
overweight.
fat. So he's not good looking anymore. So now this very egotistical, narcissistic guy shows up who is horribly racist and sexist and
Oh my,
homophobic,
I love this character already. He's an
and
idiot.
he is one of the best things about the show. Even though like he's kind of like the same way that Michael Scott is, you know,
He's the butt of the joke
where
all the time.
yeah, so like he's not always the best part about the show, but he's still the best part about the show, you know?
Yeah.
But so there's that character. And then there's the main character who uh is supposed to be like the antithesis of what a good main lead is supposed to be, where they're like average everyman and very like down to earth and like almost a nerd and truthful and that kind of stuff. He is a lawyer who uh, found out that his degree does not transfer over to America, and so he's going to community college so that he can just get a cheap degree and get out and go back to being a lawyer.
Smart
And,
guy.
and
Is he
so
English?
yeah, no, so he got his degree from Columbia, is what it said at the beginning. He's
So that's Canada?
I guess so. I don't know. But so the point is there's this guy who his whole being is lying and cheating to get his way. And he is the male lead.
Reminds me of It's Always Sunny.
Yeah, it's a lot like that in that way. But then, so one of my favorite parts about it is it starts out with one female love interest who
Is that Diane's
she's
voice actress? What's her face?
no. So it starts out with one. I'll get to her. So it starts out with one female voice actress, not love interest, who she's basically the definition of PC culture and that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And so like she, kind of like she talks about people, like talks down to them and like stuff like that, and like kind of like is is a hypocrite and that kind of stuff. And so all this stuff, and she's supposed to be the super caring one. And so it's supposed to be he doesn't care, she cares. And so she has the love interest, and she's pretty good. I like her. She's a good thing in the show. But what I love most, especially Dan Harmon's response to it, was so Allison Brie, who is the voice actress of Diane
Diane.
from BoJack.
Diane Nguyen, yeah.
Yeah,
Alison Brie.
she plays Annie, this character who she went to high school and that kind of stuff, and she was top of her class, and then she got addicted to Adderall and went crazy and lost all of her scholarships. So at that point, the only school that which she could go to was a community college, and so she plays basically the schoolgirl stereotype, like smart, innocent schoolgirl. And it's like the first half of the first season, it was all about about Jeff, the main lead, getting with Britta, who was the girl. I guess you just say girl lead. And so, uh, after the first half of the season, he noticed that there was an overwhelming amount of uh, like fan fiction and fan art about Jeff and Annie.
Alison Brie.
Yeah, Allison Brie. And so he was like, you know what? This is what the audience wants. Why should I give something to the audience that they don't want? And so like he switches it, and he does it very, very well. Like the writing does it very, very well, and especially end of the first season, it was the final episode. They are so Britta, the love interest throughout the first season, her and somebody he hooked up with throughout the season confessed their love to him, and he was overwhelmed by it, ran out, and ran into Annie in the hall. Well, not in the hall. It was outside and it was raining, and he was joking about it. And he was like, "I just don't." He wasn't joking. He was like, "I don't know what to do," and like explaining like, one makes me better, and one makes me understand who I am. Who should I like? Who should I want to go with? And she's like, I don't know, and that kind of stuff. And this really heartfelt moment, and then they share a kiss. And so then you come back the next season, and it's like little bit of tension, like not quite like, and so it becomes a love triangle and that kind of stuff. And then the tension starts to shift and that kind of stuff, leaning more towards. It is really well done. And so
Yeah, love triangles. The Office does a love triangle. That is so frustrating.
yeah,
And then when you think
they
it concludes, it doesn't conclude. And then you think
yeah.
it concludes, and then it doesn't
So
conclude. And then
yeah,
it
so
concludes.
I don't like the love triangle in that, but I love this love triangle and that kind of stuff because it's like it's hitting at the fact that like these people have lives too, and like they like other people, and like they get over that kind of stuff sometimes, and like they're not always infatuated with each other, yet they are always infatuated with each other, and so that's really good and that kind of stuff. And so
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm impatient with these type of things,
yeah,
and I hate watching shows like New Girl where it's like I know Jess is going to end up with Nick. Why do I have to
Mhm.
care about Guy 5 or the 6th love interest she's going to sleep with and then not end up with him?
So
It's just
yeah.
frustrating because it's
Yeah.
like, why are we doing all this runaround?
Mhm.
Why?
And
But
so
I imagine
yeah.
a show like The
But
Community makes it
yeah,
worthwhile, though, right?
so they do really good writing of giving you a reason to understand why they shouldn't be together, and it's a good reasons why. Where like there's hints at stuff like they they can get together, but then he also like he's a horrible person and ends up hurting her, and so it's like he doesn't get with her because it's like, oh, I don't want to hurt you more and that kind of stuff. And so it's like all this kind of like you want them to get together, but also at the same time it's like, but ultimately like there's all these factors playing against and so
It's funny to hear Allison Brie play kind of I assume she's like a ditz too, right? But a smart ditz. Like she doesn't understand
oh
the
yeah,
world very much, but she's book smart.
yeah,
It's fun. It's funny to hear her play a character type like that because in BoJack she's like Daria.
yeah,
You know what I mean? She's a
mm-hmm,
know-it-all. She's really smart and cynical and know-it-all. But she has this lovable voice
mm-hmm,
that makes it sound like you know her.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I just think it's funny that it shows her
Oh
range.
yeah,
She's a Daria character when she was like, I don't
she's an
care.
amazing actor. And one thing I was also going to hit at was the chemistry in the cast is amazing, to where interactions between people in the cast, like even though they're ridiculous stuff, like in the video I mentioned earlier, he mentioned the fact that there's an interaction between Jeff and Annie
Mm-hmm.
where he's trying to go do something, uh and she's trying to stop him, and so she's there, and like all this like movement, and like she falls on the ground and squirms and like makes weird noises, but for some reason, because of the amazing acting chops she has and the chemistry with them, like even though it makes no sense, you believe that that's something they would do.
Yeah, it's. I bet it's one of those shows too where you love the relationships with the cast almost more than the cast, like how they all interact more than the people themselves.
Yeah, and like
You know what I'm saying? Because all in isolation, they're not interesting.
mhm.
It's the chemical reaction that's interesting.
Yeah, and they kind of prove that with some episodes where it's like, so Jeff, the main character, is he's the slacker, and he is like, I'm so much better by myself. And there's a lot of episodes where he goes off by himself and does something, and then he realizes, oh wait, I should have, like, it was so much better if when I was like with them, that kind of stuff.
Backfires all the time. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, that was a good presentation of your extremely
Yes,
underrated show.
I could go
I'm
on for
proud of you,
so much
man. No,
longer.
I took the timer off. I just wanted you to feel like you had
Yeah,
pressure so you would blow through it because I knew you've been waiting.
yeah,
You're
I've been wait.
waiting.
Yeah, what are your thoughts? I want to hear what you have to.
I'm just eager to give the show a watch. You've
Yeah,
motivated. Okay. Sorry, my mother
so
wants me to whisper. You've motivated me to watch this program.
oh yeah,
So now I
you
want to watch this
you'll
program.
you'll definitely love it. So yeah, and then yeah, because it purposely does tropes, be, like, and that kind of stuff, and
I love that because
yeah,
I hate normal sitcoms so much.
yeah.
They don't say anything ever.
Hmm. And so you'll have an episode where it's just like a normal day at school, but then like the next episode, they will like have a paintball war where they're in a western movie, and so
Stupid.
which is stupid and it should not work, but it does. And then the next episode, which is a continuation of that same like storyline, it changes from a western movie to where it's like now they're in Star Wars.
What?
Yes. And so the best part is there's the character Abed. He he points this out, and like it's like where before we were in a western movie, and now the roles have shifted, and now we're in Star Wars. So now we have to join together to stop the big bad, that kind of stuff, and like, so there's that kind of stuff. And there's one of my favorite episodes, which is about Annie losing a purple pin, and so the entire episode takes place in the same room, and Abed keeps saying, "Oh, so this is going to be a bottle episode." And throughout the first, like, the introduction is like, "Oh, this is going to be a bottle episode." And they all say like, "Shut up, Abed," and like they're all trying to get out of the room. Like there's a puppy festival going on, and like Jeff has a date to go to, and like so like everybody's trying to leave, and Annie keeps freaking out about this pin. And so like after all this build up, Jeff is like, "You know what?" and slams the doors, locks them all, and says, "We're doing a bottle episode." Like fair, like they know exactly what they're doing, and that's why it's funny.
I love when sitcoms are self-aware like that. It kills me, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because Rick and Morty do that, and it's witty. But I love that he's like, it's a bottle episode.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my favorite tropes. Is like, for example, the one in Friends is so frustrating.
Yeah.
Where Ross has a big old dinner to go to, and
Mm-hmm.
you know he's with Rachel all the time and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just funny because all the characters, none of them are ready on time, and they keep having conflict, and they're stuck in the same room pretty much. In Friends, they're always in the same too. But you see my point. Like they need to go somewhere, and they
Yeah.
won't go somewhere, and
Mhm.
that's the whole premise. And there's an urgency to going somewhere.
Yeah.
Only for one character, of course. I'm trying to think of other bottle episodes. I think they're tropey and not fun
Yeah.
all the time. They can be fun
it's
because
one.
It's the limitedness that makes
Yeah.
it really fun.
And so there's that, and then the directing style of the Russo brothers is amazing, and works really well with this kind of meta stuff, because they have their director's chops where they can switch from this very serious, like uh one of my favorites was them doing like it was a Halloween episode, and uh it was just a zombie apocalypse episode, and they can switch from this bright like sitcom style with all these like bright colors, wide angles, and that kind of stuff, and like the way it moves and that kind of stuff, to switch directly next episode is this dark, gritty, like everybody has to like hunker down and get this over with, and like like raise the tension instead of like it's all about the humor and joke, joke, joke. And so it's really well done that way too. It's just
Psych kind of does that too sometimes, but
yes.
it's less meta about it. It's more
Mm-hmm.
like we're doing a Halloween episode. We're doing it's genre based. Like they try to introduce different concepts.
Or yeah, and then like there's a Christmas special where it's just like uh it's a classic, like, it's a Christmas special, so let's do it in claymation. But the premise of it is one of the characters wakes up, and he, after an existential crisis, and he believes he is in claymation. And the whole premise of the episode is them trying to get him out of the like get him to understand that he's in the real world, not claymation. And so it's all this jokes and meta humor that comes back in the end, where you realize that the reason that he's having all these problems is because his mom was supposed to, every year he watches these classic Christmas movies with his mom, and his mom couldn't come this year, and so he was having an existential crisis. And so it's like so good. And then like, man, it's
So now he's claymation. That's really smart
yeah.
because that's
So
the style of a lot of those.
yeah, and so and like that kind of stuff is good. And then like they surprisingly pull in some really good cameos with people too. Like they had Jack Black come in for just one episode where he was just like, he was as loud and obnoxious as he can, and that was his entire character. where he wanted to be in the group so bad, and he was like, "You guys have so much fun," and then they did like the trope of like, "Oh, I was just always in the background of all these shots," and so it goes back to all these previous episodes, and is like him reacting to like, "Oh, haha, remember that's so funny, that thing you just did." And so
It's a good trope. I like that trope that I was there. And they
yeah.
insert them really poorly into the shot.
So I love that they did that, and so like Jack Black could just be his loud, obnoxious self. And then they have Betty White come in as this hardball like old lady who's seen like I've seen it all type stuff. And so there's that, and then like they have John Goodman come in, and he plays like this like basically mafia boss type thing where he is in charge of the air conditioning like annex of the community college, and apparently like that's where all the money goes, and that kind of stuff. And so like get some pretty good cameos here and there.
I don't want to stop your momentum here,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to wait to talk about Tiger King because I want to watch it a little bit.
Yeah.
Before we jump into it. But the other guy, what's his face? We could talk about Joe Exotic a little bit.
Oh yeah. Because I wanted to talk about him before the show even came out, because I think he's such a good character.
Brief everyone about Joe Exotic, and I'm gonna
okay.
Share my desktop real quick.
Yeah. So, Joe Exotic. What's this?
Just keep talking. I'm gonna get Joe Exotic up.
So, Joe Exotic. If you don't know who Joe Exotic is, he is basically. And if you're gonna pull up a video, just know that they can't hear it.
I'm not gonna pull up video. I'm
okay.
just gonna pull up photos.
So Joe Exotic is this man who he first came into my field of view in 2016 because he ran for president.
He was apprehended.
Yeah, this was before he was apprehended. This is when he ran for president. Did you know that he ran for president?
No. Here he is as a politician.
Yeah. Yeah. So, actually, I will just pull up his presidential video, like, campaign speech. And because, like, campaign, like, commercial. Because this is amazing. And he explains it himself, who he is. And that's basically all you need to know about him, you know? Even though there's so much more, this man is so, like, interesting. So, Joe Exotic for president. Okay, I watched. There we go. Here, do you want to watch it on the stream or on Zoom?
Can it be both? Can I hear it?
Yeah,
too?
you can't. I don't think you can hear the share screen, but
okay.
Oh, you've disabled it for me.
Oh, have I?
Yeah. Okay.
You're my co-host now.
Okay. Share screen.
Let me get the audio pull. Yeah, actually, you know what? I'm just gonna watch it on the stream.
There you go. Okay, so let's do this.
Joe Exotic, and today this is not going out to any kind of a presidential candidate or any politician. The purpose of this video today is to let you know who I am. First thing is, I am not cutting my hair. I'm not changing the way I dress. I refuse to wear a suit. I am gay. I've had 2 boyfriends most of my life. I currently got legally married. Thank God. It's finally legal in America. I've had some
the Tiger King guy?
I have tried drugs through the
From
younger
the YouTube
years of
series?
my life.
Or the
I am
Netflix
broke
series?
as shit.
Yep.
I have a judgment against me
He was
from some
arrested.
bitch down there in Florida. But I can tell you, I paid a fine with the USDA, and that is nothing but a civil fine, ladies and gentlemen. That does not mean that I was accused or convicted of any kind of animal cruelty thing. I built
Finally legal in America, baby.
The nicest facilities for exotic animals in this country as far as a private individual goes. I'm Joe Exotic, and don't forget, I am now stepping my foot in the ring to run for president. And this is all paid for by the committee of Joe Exotic Speaks for America.
Okay, so you can see why people have fallen in love with this man.
He's a man of culture.
So he is what more can you say about he is gay?
He's married.
He's married. Now he's married to 2 people. He's married to 2 different people now. And so bye Jillian. But anyway, so he owns the largest privately owned zoo in the world. Well, in America, I think. I don't know if it's the world, but at least in America. And he ran for president. He not only has a mullet, but he has a bleached mullet.
He's given Vermin Supreme a run for his money.
Yes. And
this is the meme of finally a worthy opponent.
Yes. So there's all that. He has it. What else is it without getting into the show? Stuff I knew before the show. And I forget what they're. Oh yeah. So they talk about it a little bit in the show, but he loves his tigers so much.
He loves his tigers.
He loves his tigers, man. He calls himself Tiger King. He used to have a daily stream of himself. Like, he would stream himself every night in like a talk show format.
He interviews the tiger.
And so no, it wasn't the tigers and that kind of stuff. The people he hires, like, basically all of them are just like meth heads who and literally, like, the head zookeeper, like, he is missing like half his teeth, talks in a very redneck accent, not southern accent, redneck accent, which I always say is different. And then he I'm trying to think of other stuff.
I'm being bullied by Emma right now. She keeps calling me Big Gay.
Big Gay.
Like Big Yoshi.
Yeah. Also, the stream didn't catch up for me for a while there. And so I answered Jillian's question from 134, and it didn't come up until 140. And so, like, all of a sudden this huge stream of chat came in, and so I'm just trying to catch up on all of it. Brady is Big Gay.
It's not funny, guys. It's not funny.
Yeah.
I was gonna mention that.
You know who else is Big Gay?
Who?
Joe Exotic.
Oh, he's exotic, man.
Oh yeah, and in the commercial when he talked about the fact that I have tried drugs in my younger years. So this man talking about his story of why he started having collecting tigers and that kind of stuff was like, he came out to his dad that he was gay, and his dad said you are not to attend my funeral. And so it's a very sad story. And so it's very sad that he went off and drove his car off a bridge, but he survived. And when he was going through the physical therapy and that kind of stuff, his neighbor uh, helped raise like big cats like tigers and lions and that kind of stuff. And apparently he bonded with them and decided, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
What made him want to run for president then? What?
This man, this woman.
Joe Exotic has no limits.
Yes. So Joe Exotic, his biggest thing that he fought for his entire career was he wanted the right to own his tigers. And so he kept fighting with animal rights activists about this, and I think that's why he ran for president. And it's
For
just
himself. Yeah.
this man. What can I tell you? He is amazing.
I was gonna mention, I think something that's so funny, and I forgot about it. It's the funniest thing, especially for video games.
Yeah.
Because like in violent video games, you kill people, like you obliterate them with bullets and stuff, and you beat them to death. But I remember, I think I was playing Minecraft, and I started saying "kick his ass," and I thought it was the funniest thing, because that implies you just fighting, like it's just like a hand fight. It's like street, like a bar fight. So I'm gonna start saying that when I play games from now on. So instead of like there's a zombie in the door, I'll say kick his ass, because it's just way funnier. Don't you think?
Yeah.
I'm gonna start doing that in Uncharted. I'm gonna kick some ass now. It's so cheesy. I love it. Or cause it's like the whole real jerk thing. It's like, why do you want to go to war? Hitler's a real jerk. I want to kick his ass. It's like I don't want to kill him. That's too far.
He's a real jerk.
I want to kick his ass.
Yep.
I had another thought. I think it's gone. Yeah, it's gone. Joe Exotic. I want to kick his ass. He'd probably like it. I don't know what he's into.
Who are you chanting to make out with, Emma? Here, wait, no, we can, so, I don't know, here. Wait, I need to figure out where the line is.
Okay. My head is way bigger than yours because I'm closer. We can't time it right. Kick his ass.
We were not giggling, okay? We are not schoolgirls.
Look, I don't know anything about giggling, but I'll tell you this much. I'm an old man. I'm a boomer. I was watching Johnny Carson until 3 a.m. last night on YouTube because I'm a boomer.
Yeah.
I am, though. I'm not kidding. I was watching Johnny Carson. I watched Jonathan Winters. I watched Robin Williams. I was going to watch Steve Martin on Jonathan Carson. He's a sight to behold. If you've ever watched Johnny Carson, I love some Johnny Carson.
Mm-hmm.
He was the late night host, and I don't like late night, but I like Johnny Carson because he is very charismatic and very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Also, I remember when we said we were going to go for like half an hour, and then we were going to open up for questions from the chat.
Let's do questions now. Let's close with questions, man.
Close with questions.
Well, I said the first hour was going to be topics, and we actually, for the most part, did that actually, because then we got into community after.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, after
drop your...
you were like, I'm gonna have like one topic and then I'm gonna be done and you can just go with whatever.
No, I thought it was gonna be like, wow, we would blow through them, but we formed for so long, just like one thing into another, into another, into another.
Well, I thought that's what you were doing in the first place, because I thought you were going to go from, you went into video games. I thought you were gonna take that to like, okay, video games are a form of media and that kind of stuff, and like underrated video games, and then maybe underrated shows, and then like, oh, my underrated shows. Let me tell you. I don't know. Did Hannah leave?
No, she's still here.
Okay. No tengo. Listen, we do not speak Spanish. If you want to speak Spanish, don't go here. Okay? No tengo preguntas.
I have no questions.
Okay.
That's what it
But
translates. No tengo preguntas.
Hannah, she what?
She's still here.
She snoozed
She's
for a
still
hot
here.
second earlier. Oh, she's still here. She's still here. Okay, Hannah, you're always good with questions.
Give us 2 questions, 2 good ones. One from each.
Yeah, one.
Because the other person's probably me.
Mhm.
2 questions.
Well, okay, right. It wasn't talk to each other time here. Let's talk to us.
You can do that whenever you want. You
This
can
is
do
this
each
is
other whenever you want.
this is my show. Stop talking to each other. Talk to me. Ah, jeez. Some people.
This is my show. Ah.
I don't know.
I'm just telling you.
Yeah, big egos with the with the podcast. Did you have you seen any of? Yes, about anything, Hannah. Whether it be community, or daddy issues, or the Tiger King, or anything. Also about community, I love it. I love the fact that the main character has daddy issues. He's he's a man with daddy issues.
BoJack has daddy issues. The guy from Psych,
Yeah.
Sean Spencer, has daddy issues.
I think I'm just attracted to male leads with daddy issues because I love all those.
For a minute, you were like, "I'm attracted to men."
I'm attractive to
You
men.
said it so boldly. There was this
Yeah.
comedian who was on Rogan who talked about being 10% gay and explained why he was 10% gay, and I thought it was pretty funny.
I love it. Who is the first person you'll visit after quarantine, and what will you do when you visit? Do with them? I think you know who I'm visiting, Brady.
Me, it better be me. I'll throw hands, bruh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna visit my big
I
titty goth. Yeah, I'm
definitely
gonna put her in a headlock.
I definitely will have to visit you or someone who I am not related to. I need to do that.
I'm gonna put Emma in a headlock. I'm gonna toss her over my hip, and then I'm going to proceed to get a baseball bat, break all of her limbs.
Yeah.
Yeah. love how you were like at first, like, this isn't funny, and then you're like, well, let's see where it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, oh, this is just going to go into you talking about that kind of stuff. And then you, yeah. Here's
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Are you satisfied with where you are in life right now? If not, what are some things you could do differently to head in the right direction?
I could be eating better.
Yeah, there's every day I keep finding things where it's like I'm not satisfied where I'm at right now.
Me too, man.
You know.
Me too, man.
And so, like, go ahead.
If you'd asked me at like 10, how far do you think you're gonna get by age 20? What are you gonna accomplish? I would say, probably things like I'll be a famous guy. I would do the dance and people would love me. And here I am doing no dances, not famous. People love me.
Yeah.
There's no dances. There's no fame.
See, at 10, I wanted to have like my life figured out, and like I expected myself to like be married and that kind of stuff, and like
me too, man.
And like I would have a regular sleep schedule, falling asleep at like 10 or 11 every night, waking up at like 8, like 8 or 7 or 8, having a regular sleep schedule, eating well, always cooking meals for myself and that kind of stuff. And like right now, I'm not, like, this isn't, if I had to live the rest of my life where I'm at right now, I don't think I would want that. Like, there's so much more I want to do. and I know I'm holding myself back. Is the problem.
I have one thing to say about that. I want to be where the people are. I want to see him dancing. What would I give? Just jumping around. What would I pay to spend a day warm on the sand? And I'll bet you on land, they understand. They don't reprimand their daughters or young women sick of swimming, ready to
stand. I told you before about how I did a duet to that song, right?
I know. I think, didn't you do A Whole New World?
Yeah.
Because a part of
did.
our world is not. Did you do Part of Our World? Part of the world. Ba-na-na-na. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I don't think you did
Oh
that
yeah.
song. You did A Whole New World.
Well, we did multiple songs. I thought but then I remember. It's past. It's too late. But I was mixing Whole New World and Part of Your World for some reason.
Same composer. So I mean.
Yeah, and but no, I have. Did I ever show you the video from this summer's song?
Please do. Not on the show, but at some point.
I will show you at some point. But for context for people listening, so every summer at camp we do a talent show, and me and my friend Sam, I'm not going to give his last name. Sam's just a generic name. But me and my friend Sam, we always perform in the talent show. And we perform under the name Sam and Fish because we thought it was funny because it's a salmon fish. And it's actually Sam and Fish, you know?
Yeah, classic.
Classic. So we're Sam and Fish. And every year we do a duet to a Disney song. It started out with us just ultimately started out we were in the showers at 3 or 4 in the morning because we did not want to take showers at the same time as everyone else because we didn't want to wait or anything like that. So we just waited till everybody went to bed and we went to go take our showers. And then after while we were in the showers, we were like, no one else can hear us, so let's start singing Disney music. So we started singing Disney music. And me and Sam realized that we both know a lot of Disney music. So we were like, so Sam is the most quiet kid you'd ever meet. But I said, Sam, we need to perform in the talent show. And so I got him to come up with me. And we went to the front in the talent show. And we performed Love is an Open Door. And tell you what, those people, it knocked their socks off. It was amazing. They loved it. And they told us, like, they came up to us afterwards and said, you're going to have to do this for years to come now. It was just like the atmosphere and it was just so fun where it was just us going up there and having a blast singing that. And we were like, we have to one up this next year. And so what we did was we found some carpet in one of the cabins. Just like cut up carpet. Like carpet that you would have on the floor, not like a rolled out carpet. It's like carpet that they had on the floor that they cut up and now it's just a sheet of carpet.
Is your rug a whole new world?
But I thought it was a flying carpet.
A dazzling place I never known. I played Aladdin once.
Yeah.
I'm white, but I think I did a good job.
Yeah. And so that was fun. We sat on the carpet and we were pulled all around stage by our friends while we were singing it. And it was a lot of fun to do that. And then this year we had to one up it even more. So we bought balloons that have lights in them. And we pulled a canoe on stage. We carried it from the pond and put it on stage. And we got in the canoe and we sang, I See the Light from Tangled. And we'd sing it a cappella. Actually, wait, no. We had an instrumental going in the background. But we didn't, like, it wasn't karaoke style or anything like that. You know? I don't know. It's a lot of fun, and I like it. Also, I wasn't looking at the chat, so I hope no one was saying anything. No one's making...
Tomorrow.
What?
What will be one of our regrets?
If we die tomorrow, what will be one of our regrets?
Something you wish you had done. That's a question. What do you wish? I wish I eaten better.
I honestly, if I die tomorrow, I won't care how I ate. So I'm not...
That's the joke. Because I think it's funny to, like, what is something you could do to help your life? Like, I could be eating better.
But, so, honestly, there'd be some people I want to talk... I wish I would have talked to.
There's some people I wish I would have met. There's some things I wish I would have said. There's some...
Oh, yeah, there's so much stuff I wish I would have said. And...
There's a lot of expletives I would have said.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't say expletives. You know me, I don't exploit. Exploit? No, that's not the word. Exploitate. I'm just going to make up that word. Exploitate.
Okay. My face was so weird. I hope that's the thumbnail.
Yeah. But no. So, like, I don't know. People, I wish I would have told them how I really feel. Whether it be, like honest, like, in a bad way or a good way, you know?
I'm just imagining a really dramatic makeout scene between you and Gerald that goes on for way too long, and it's really uncomfortable because it goes on for way too long.
Well, where it starts out where everybody's like, it's a joke. And then it gets to the point where
taking each other's shirts off. It's like
and then it's like,
so we're not so sure anymore.
And then it's like, oh wait, and it's so everybody starts laughing, and then the laughter kind of dies down, and we're still making out. And everybody's like, and like there's like crickets as we're making out and that kind of stuff, and it's just like, you know.
You start taking each other's shirts off. You start filling with each other's buckles, but you're still kissing. There's something funny to me about that. I know that can be really passionate and sweet, but there's something funny to me about kissing someone and trying to undress them, because in some cases it's physically impossible to do. You can't
you couldn't just wait. You have to.
No, it's just funny to me. You can't be locked on someone's face and try to pull their shirt over their head. Like, that's almost impossible.
No.
This is not possible, but I've tried. I'm gonna be honest. I've tried so many times. It does not work that way.
Here's something I wish I would have done. Just like honestly, like a thing I wish I would have done is, make a giant pillow and blanket for it. Like, not just like remember as a kid how you would make stuff like that and you'd be like, dude, when I'm an adult, I'm going to make this like the size of the house. I want to do that. Honestly, if we were going back this semester and we were still living in Dunn Hall, I would get all the boys on my floor at Dunn Hall to make a floor-wide blanket for it. It would have been amazing. But like, make one of those, and then like, there's things I would want to do with it, like fall in love. I want to fall in love in the blanket for it, and then
look, man. Love. People crap on love quite a bit. Love is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It is.
People are just upset if they like. You have to. There's a reason we want it so much, you know. And so like, as long if you have it right, then it's really really good.
My point is, there's something so freeing about like being able to look at someone and know that for the most part they're all in.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what you do, they will always look at you with this expression of like acceptance.
Yeah.
And compassion and forgiveness and wholeness. What are you trying to kill?
What?
So what are you trying to kill? You like chased?
No, I forgot that I could plug in my phone right into my computer.
That's smart.
So I had it plugged in like way over here. So I was like reaching over here over and over again.
Ballet dancer. That's
So,
crazy.
But also, Hannah, don't take us into the rabbit hole of finding questions online again. As much as I love that, and I feel like that is some of the best stuff I've done in a while, I don't want to get back to that.
I don't, man. I want to continue with my love speech. I'm just preaching to
continue with your love speech.
Man, there's something so freeing about that level of compassion and unconditional human love is so strange to see firsthand. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but when it's there, it's there.
Yeah, I mean, you can still find questions online, Hannah. Don't
love is deceiving because growing up, there's a lot of people in your life you'd like blacklist to be romantic. I would never in a million years. But I suggest you don't do that unless you have an extremely compelling reason to. I'm not saying hit on people all the time like I do. That's a poor idea. I'm saying that you're holding back laughter is what I said.
No, I'm laughing at that Hannah in the chat.
Okay, fine.
I want to stop. I'm trying to stop interrupting your love speech so you can get this over with. But
chartreuse, favorite color.
Blue.
It's making me forget. There are people you'll blacklist in your brain. You go, ugh, I could never. Unless you have an extremely compelling reason. I would never say I would never.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, next day. So I'm not saying butter up your female friends. I'm not saying take them out to dinner and kiss their hands and get on one knee or anything. Okay, I'm not saying anything about that.
Keep an open mind.
Keep an open mind, and keep your eyeballs peeled and your heart open, and be willing to explore new things and talk to new people, because there's a lot of romantic experiences. There's a lot of romantic experiences that, as you have learned, are learning experiences.
Oh yeah.
And those are as equally valuable as actual long-term relationships.
Yeah. Most of mine that I've had recently are all they don't work out, but I learn more about myself.
So valuable.
And so it's like.
See.
But yeah, so I fully agree with you, and I'm trying to. The problem with that is because I ran into the problem before where comes I'm a friend with this person, but then if we start one of us starts liking the other person, it becomes a problem with that and that kind of stuff. And if you understand what I mean? And so
sort of. sort of, because like then there's you don't sure if the other person's reciprocating or vice versa. There's less tension.
Yeah. And so like part of me is like, because as a teenage boy, you basically fall in love with every girl that like will talk to you, you know? And so it was really hard because like I would have friends and I appreciate the friendships, but then like I'm a teenage boy, so I end up like swooning, you know?
Oh, I've probably had a lot of friendships like that in my life where
Yeah.
like my hormones were communicating a lot more than they should have been, and then I really genuinely cared about that person, but my brain is like, but what if? And I'm like,
Yeah. And
no.
like honestly, there's a lot here in college that I've been having where it's like I start becoming friends with a person, and then like I start getting like thoughts of, oh, what if we start dating? And so like gets that in my mind, but also at the same time it's like, but I also want to have them as a friend. And so like finding that good middle ground. Uh, so it's like, so I ended up like there were some relationships where it's like it kind of ruins because I can't choose one or the other, you know? And so like they like even in college there's one specifically that comes to mind. I won't call anyone out or anything but like that. But like there was one where like I really wanted a friendship. Like I was in a bad like I was having a bad time and like I still had some friends, but I really just wanted a friendship outside of like you and that kind of stuff and like people I know because of you and like this was and so it was like I know this person and like I can hang out with them even when you and like your friends and that kind of stuff are busy or whenever Gerald's busy or whenever people on my floor are doing something like have a genuine friend like just and then like feelings started coming up and as much as you want to avoid them you have to choose one or the other and if you don't choose then the friendship isn't going to be yeah.
I was gonna say that where's I going with this? There's this thing in the dating community that I want to get rid of. It's there for a reason. There's a sense of when you're dating someone, you to be illusory, to put on your best self, to put on your best face, to be the best you, and hide all the skeletons in the closet, and hide all the cracks in the drywall, and really convince them that you have it all together. And I understand why that is, but it creates so many problems because you spend all this time getting to know someone, and then in the second year of your relationship, that's jumping ahead. In the first year relationship, you get to know someone completely different.
Yeah. What?
Than how you were as friends, than how you were when you're dating, than how you were as an item, how you were long term. It's all a different game.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. I don't like that. There's this not consolation. This obsession with concealing ourselves.
Yeah.
And I understand why we do that. It's an evolutionary thing. We want to look appealing for potential partners. But you can't. I'm not saying act like a complete ape on a first date or anything. But really, and this is more for women than men, because I feel like, in my experience, the girls really try hard to woo a guy. Like once they got one on the line, because they're choosy, they're evolutionary, they're choosy, they have to be. Once they think they got something good.
Yeah, I agree, Hannah. By the way, I fully agree, and that's why one of the big reasons I've had trouble trying to find a relationship because it's like I want to know them beforehand, but also at the same time like a lot of people I know are also like you know? So it's...
Right, but you can only know someone in a friendship relationship so well. I'm not implying gross physical stuff. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
There's only so much it's a wall you
But
hit because you don't share certain things.
But also at the same time, like, I'm just as close to you as I was with most of my other, with like my long-term relationships I've had.
That's wonderful.
And so it's like there's
My point is this
there's
though, Fish.
yeah.
Before you're dating someone and you're friends with a woman, there's certain things they're not going to tell you or share with you because they don't feel like you're there or that you could ever empathize.
Yes.
And that's I think a certain way for a lot of people. Anyway, regardless of sex. But that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say, I feel like with I'll let you get to your point as fast as I can. I feel like with girls, they put on the Ritz and they really try to draw you in once they got you on the line. And then once they do, they feel like they can let it all hang out because they're comfortable. Some guys don't like that. I adore that.
Oh yeah.
I love when people can be themselves for real.
That I like that so much better than like people like trying to put on themselves, because honestly that's not enjoyable to me. Like I don't like when people are like too normal. I want to know what like what what hurts you. Like there's an Andy Grammer song called, I think it's the good things or something like that. Or but anyway, so the whole topic of the song is the fact that like let's skip all this like Instagram like perfect lifestyle stuff. Skip all the like putting on a show. Let me know like stuff like what makes you tick or like what bothers you. Like let me know your days whenever you're just like a messy bun in sweatpants kind of day type stuff, you know?
That stuff is the stuff I live for. I mean, you knowing me, that's what I live for with people. I love to know what is it in there because as an actor, you have to learn with characters. Everyone is driven by something deep, like some deep secret, some deep seated thing. It's interesting to see how that is for everyone. What that is for you, what that is for me, what that is. What are our needs? Why are they different?
Yeah.
Or rather, what are our needs? Why do we think they're different? Because we can only guess somewhat. Like, I do not believe that any human on the planet can really figure out everything about themselves, no matter how long they live. I do not. I think we can get a pretty good idea. I think with help from people we care about, we can. But I think humans are as deep as they are wide. I think there's an ocean that is your mind, that is your soul.
Yeah.
And there's only so much you can really figure out concrete.
That's why you have to really always try, like, start at a young age and then continue to try to understand yourself. That's why I always preach the message of teaching children about emotions, because emotions are always the hardest thing, and you never fully understand yourself and your emotions. But if you try, the sooner you start trying, the more you will understand.
It's gonna make more sense sooner.
Yeah,
I totally agree with that. Hannah brought up she appreciates when people are confident in themselves. She thinks there's a difference between being fake and being genuine.
Yeah, so
we live in the world now where it's hard to tell.
That's why that's a big reason we talked about the other day, that I lead with my vulnerability, because like it's one thing to fake confidence and just be like, yeah, I'm like just very suave and just nothing, like you believe yourself and like lift yourself up. But if you it's so much more confident and seems so much better if you know your own flaws, you accept those flaws, and you try to rise above them, and you aren't like trying to hide your flaws. You know your flaws and you rise above them. And so it's like
I'm in the camp. I'm in the camp too. I agree with that.
Mhm.
I'm in the camp too of people who acknowledge their flaws
and
and
that
let them be known.
that's
And
why
aren't necessarily proud of them, but you get what I'm saying.
yeah, that's why so often, like, when I try to make friends and I'm introduced to new people, I try to immediately, like, get to know them as much as possible. I don't hold anything back about my backstory type stuff. That's why I'm so much more open about stuff like my father and, like, the fact that I have an autoimmune disease, stuff that, like, in high school I would have hid, and that kind of stuff. But now it's like, but, like, I need to be confident and just be who I am. And people will like you so much more for just being who you are. And that's something that took me a long time to realize. And so, I hate when people wear their masks all the time. There are so many people I interact with that I've known for a while and still haven't seen their true colors. There's one person in particular. Me and you have talked about him, Brady. Me, you, and Gerald in the theater department that I definitely feel that way about. But there's quite a few people I feel that way about. But
There's a human in there. I believe with that guy. There's a human in there. I've seen him.
oh yeah,
I just didn't realize when I was seeing the human that it was a human. If that makes any sense.
hmm oh yeah. I thing is, there's some stuff in there that, like, shows a little bit of, like, humanity in him and that kind of stuff. But also, like, I believe that he's been trying to cover that up for so long that he doesn't know the human in there. And I understand that because I have been that way, where it's like I've tried to cover it up for so long that now I have to work to find out who the human actually is.
I mean, in some ways, I kind of did that with myself when I came to school,
Yeah.
because everything that was me was gone.
hmm
Everything that I had found myself in was gone.
Yeah.
Is what I thought. And as I got older, I started to realize that I was a lot more than what I thought I was.
hmm
Um, yeah, and I'm one of those people who am a professional mask wearer, and I will try to defend fellow mask wearers because we all wear masks in different degrees. But what I was going to say is, I'm really, when I'm meeting new people, really trying hard to let them know that there's a human behind that. There's a still beating heart behind that piece of paper.
Yeah.
That's not exactly who I am. That's a mold. It looks like me,
hmm
but that's not what I really am fully.
Yeah.
That's exaggerated. That's defensive. There's a heart in here. You just can't see it. I really am trying, especially with new people, to get them to understand. There's someone in there.
That's kind of what I've been trying to push for, because, like, that's kind of how I was for me, where, like, I was a professional mask wearer, where it was like I would just, like, I knew how to interact with different groups of people, and that's why I liked working with kids so much in the long term, was because I could just be myself, and it didn't matter, and that's what the kids liked. And so it was like, when I was, like, around the old people at school, I was the nice young boy who just did whatever he was always told, and just, like, said the right thing at the right time. And I'm not that that wasn't me, but also at the same time, like, I switched into more of that because I was around the old people at church. And then when I was at school, I switched into, like, oh, I'm the quiet, smart kid that sat in the back of the class. And so, like, and then once I got to high school, there were a couple classes where I realized, like, oh, I don't have to be the quiet, smart kid that sat in the back of class. I could be myself. And so I would sit in the front. and I would make jokes and talk with the teacher and talk with the other students, and just like my leadership really came out in those times. And so like once when I was working with the kids when I was 14, I realized that that personality was who I am. And so whenever I started doing more stuff with the youth group, I was like, okay, if I'm going to be a leader, I'm just going to be who I am. Let that come out. And so then it was like, oh, this leadership like quality in me, the quality that like helps me with public speaking, quality that helps people want to listen to what I have to say, the part that makes people feel at peace and comfortable around me whenever I like just resonate that. Like that started coming out, and I realized like I'm not the quiet kid. I'm just the kid that I can do all this stuff. No.
Because I think because people are chameleons, you get in these different places, force yourself to fit in this role. And sometimes that can be a good thing because perspective is really helpful. Like in some groups, I'm the life of the party. In other groups, I'm not. Or in some groups, I'm a leader. In other groups, I'm not. In some groups, I'm an elder. Or in other groups, I'm not. I think it's interesting to find what different niches you fit in, because at the end of the day, though, that doesn't change who you really are. It's just what this dynamic is. That is intriguing to me.
Yeah.
Honestly, humans in general, like I could go on and on, and Jillian is in a similar boat. People and how we interact blows my mind on the unspoken rules. Like if I were to, mid-conversation, okay, be a safe distance from you, and just start touching your face, and just talking about whatever the hell
I'll put my face there so that you can actually
touching your face.
Yeah.
Everyone would be uncomfortable. Why? Why is that but not you, not necessarily you though. Other people watching would be uncomfortable. Why is that? Why does that bother people?
Yeah.
Or I don't know. It's really weird. There's things like that. Or why do we feel the need to greet people when we pass them on the street or in an elevator? We're like, what's with that?
Or rather than greet people, why do we decide that the most amount of greeting we can have is the head nod or the hey?
Hey, yeah. Hey. Or how you doing? Good.
And so why can't it be like, oh hey, how are you doing? Like get to know that person. Because and then like the social norms is just like, oh, you have to be quiet and courteous when you're on the elevator. That's why I'm able to do stuff like, oh, I went out when I was home before I went off to college in the first place. Like the meter guy came out to check the meter, and I saw some guy out in the yard, so I walked out to go say hi. And next thing I know, he was telling me about his kid and how his kid is about to get a car soon, and like how he's nervous about that. And like people want to talk, it just you need to talk to them.
Yeah, that's something I really want to work on because I really like people. I really like talking.
Yeah.
But I'm really scared to talk to people, and it's really ironic knowing me as a person.
So surprisingly, I think that's where we are the most similar. Is the fact that we both really like people, and we really like to talk to people, but also at the same time we're
terrified of it. It's so funny to me because like it sounds so conceited, and I'm not trying to plug, but I love like one-on-one like interviewing stuff. Like if I could have people on my show or on some program or some, make it so much easier, man. Like that order. You know what I mean? It'd be so much fun. That's candy, man. That's jazz for me. Like watching comedians in cars. I'm like, that's jazz for me, man. That's what I love. watching that stuff because that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting to a pretty organic stopping place.
Yeah. So if you have any more questions, if you don't have any more questions, Hannah, I feel like we might.
I think she's good. I started another conversation with her, and I think this is a topic I want to hear you out with.
Yeah.
So apparently I have multiple personality disorder, according to Hannah. No, I'm kidding. It's just something that it was a bigger deal to me when I first got to school.
Mm-hmm.
But she was talking about the distinction between. There's no better way to describe this. It gets confusing, so I'm going to be very distinct about this. The distinction between.
I know exactly what this.
And Brady.
Yeah.
Right?
She was talking about it in the chat, and I was like, oh yeah, I definitely. But
has there ever been a time where you've been confused about who you're talking to?
Yes, and that between
freaky?
Yeah, so I kind of picked up that the first few months that we were living together it was mostly Brady Day, like the
larger than life guy,
and so
always on.
Between probably mid-November to like probably January, maybe even February of the next year, like that between semester stuff, it was like you were in a constant state of were you Brady Day or were you just Brady? You know? And so it's like because we ended out our first semester living together where it was like we would have introspective talks and that kind of stuff and I'd get to know you better. But it also felt like you were constantly putting on a show and that kind of stuff. And like you were because like I acknowledge the fact that the first few months of us living together was you putting on a show to make it seem like you were the cool guy.
First of all, I am the cool guy, and secondly, that's exactly what was going on.
Mm-hmm. So, but the problem was when it like mid-November came around or something like that, and you were starting to go through all these like life problems and that kind of stuff. And I was there to hear some of it and like that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, this is a real Brady. But then you would also switch to like stuff like you were starting to do stuff about filming of the Brady Day show. And so it's like seeing you excited about this and like your creative juices flowing. But then like also it was like oh I'm going to go hang out with my friends. Oh, I have so many friends and that kind of like it. I was
bragging.
I was so shocked to find out how many people you actually were friends with.
Very
like
little.
It's just
2 people.
You wanted me to you wanted like it. To be honest, it made like at first I was kind of like I was a little bit like pitying myself a little bit because I was like, oh, Brady is out there and he has so many friends and that kind of stuff, and it's like now it's like oh, it's just he just went out with the same people every night and just.
I mean, sort of. I traveled in different circles back then, but I see your point. Like, no.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just really wanted to impress you. I was like, this guy's so low key, so chill, he's so smart. I can't be any of those things, so I'm just gonna be me, or what I thought was me.
Yeah, and so like,
and then when things got harder, and it got heavier, because it's like I like to think about it like this. I like to think of that persona or whatever you want to call it as a superpower. It's got a cooldown though. It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
It's a black hole.
Mm-hmm.
And it or what's a better way to describe it? It's the Spartan rage meter in God of War. It's not sustainable.
Yeah. Well,
it's a ticking time bomb.
And in a sense, that is that is kind of why I'm such like a laid back low key person. Is because like I've been the person that like wears masks all the time and I know how much energy it drains. So my actual personality is just actually conserves all that energy, you know. And so I've
Yeah.
described it to people as like the reason it feels like I'm so laid back and tired and like procrastinating all the time type stuff is because I am constantly everything at once. And so at that point my mind is so bottled up with all this energy being expensed on trying to be so many different things that I end up being like so chill and laid back, you know. And so yeah.
It's just funny to me because I see it now as a superpower, as an ability to tap into,
Oh yeah.
and it's much healthier
Oh yeah.
in that respect. Not as who I am. It's a piece, a piece of the puzzle.
At this point I see it as my ability to connect with everyone.
For me, it's my ability to.
Yeah, because your mask is different than my mask. Because we're talking about it as the same thing, but my mask is more of I'm the person I am with. And your mask is I'm the person that is liked by everyone I'm with. Which
Or
is
I like to think of it as yours is I'm the person I am with. I'm whatever that person wants me to be.
yes,
That's
very
what I think of it as.
on the surface very similar things, but mine is like just like I can quickly pick up on that and just like okay, be be that person. And then yours is like, okay, what do they want me to be? I will be that person for them. And so like that's why like it seems like you're so like that's why when you're putting on your Brady day, it's like you're basically playing a character in a show and just like that's why you seem so likable. It's because you're just what people like.
I think I'm getting better about that though.
Oh
In the
yeah,
last like year and a half,
I
there's less of the people pleasing and more
you
of the I can't
what
flip the children's show and whatever it's
yeah.
after two. It's this. I don't care what you think. I am who
Yeah.
I am. Get on
And
board or go
so
away.
that's one thing. What really drove that in for me was when immediately as we came back for our second year of school, it was we like before we started classes, it was hey let's go to Perkins, and then we started classes and like every day it was like hey you want to get lunch, and then we would see each other and it's like hey let's get lunch. So it started out like once a week where we get lunch, and then it was oh, we would see each other a couple times, so let's just get lunch both times. And then it evolved into like, oh, let's just get lunch every day then. Where before it felt like it was you wanted to you wanted me to feel like you were cool. And so it was like, oh, I'm busy getting lunch with those people today. And so
Elusive. It was elusive. My time was elusive
yeah, so it
before.
was where it was elusive and it was like oh he like so I where I would be like okay I don't like I'll just take it back to my room and Brady might be get back, you know, where you would eat it there and like finding out that you would just eat it there by yourself, like in my mind I had it pictured that you had a big posse of people and you were there eating your food. You were cracking jokes. You were like, haha, I get it. And that, like some sort of like sitcom, like everybody's crowded around you. And then really like,
I think I was this god. I'm a
I
loser.
don't, I don't know why. Listen, I,
I'm
I
a
had my
loser.
own, I had,
Problems.
I had my own problems. And so I always felt like when, like, oh, you're always like, you were this god because you went out and hung out with people all day, every day, and that kind of stuff. And realizing like because it was like, oh, I want to do that because like You're out doing things all the time. That looks like fun.
It was funny to see the tables turn. It's my favorite part of this last semester.
Oh
And
yeah.
I knew deep down that I shouldn't be jealous,
That
but I was just a little
was
bit.
the funniest thing this last year, switching from like, oh, you're the cool guy who knew everyone too. Okay, so you're like we both know people. I'm starting to meet more people, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I have my connections.
Oh, it was so funny, man. It was the I think the best way to describe it is what the hell, because this is like, what? It just creates more questions. That's what I loved about it. Every time you were like, yeah, that's so and so, and I go, what the hell? How do you know
Yeah.
what? And you go, no, it's from my second clock ethics class. What? It just
And what I think it ultimately lied down on was, while you were putting on this mask of like I'm the cool guy and that kind of stuff, it was I'm learning about myself. I'm trying to become more confident in my class and that kind of stuff. So I just started talking to more people and meeting new people, while you were like, okay, I'm gonna put on my mask and that kind of stuff, and people will know who I am, and then like my friends will be this one small group of people. You know, and so
yeah.
it was partly because I I hit the learn more about myself train faster than you did.
I mean, I feel like I never got off the train. I just feel like
Oh yeah.
was less eager to talk to people in classes. Because I was like, I have my
Mhm.
posse. I have my friends. I don't need
Yeah.
anybody else. Why would I need
You
new people?
you have your
What do they have to
posse.
offer? I got my guys. Why would I need? Why do I need them? They're lame. They're losers. Whatever.
Hmm. And so it was where it
And
was
I think
like,
also there's this fear too, for me with some people where I look at them and I go, they're normal. Like they're really not like I'm not the guy you want to take to meet your parents. Like these people are much. It was almost a level of because I'm a hot and cold person. I'm insane. There were some days where I was like, I'm too me for these people.
mhm.
And there was times where I was like, well, these people are too them. Like I'm below these people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there were other times where I went, well, I'm Brady Day. And not even the character thing, just like all the things I've accomplished and
Hey,
how
Jillian's back.
and how unique my brain works. I went, well, they can't do the things I can do. I'm better than them.
Hmm.
I'm like, well, no, that's not how that works either. So it's finding the
Yeah.
balance of we're all on even playing field.
Hmm.
No one's better than anybody else in this situation. We're
That's
just people.
ultimately what I hit was, I realized me slowly realizing that everybody was on the same playing field as me.
Blew
So
my mind when I figured
I
that out
realized that
officially.
people weren't above me. It's just they pretended like they were. And so like it was a lot of like these people that I thought like, oh, they're not talking to me because they're cool and that kind of stuff. It was, oh, they're not talking to me because maybe because they think I'm cool. And so that was a realization. And then this last year I realized, oh wait, maybe people think that about me. Maybe I'm thinking I'm better than other people. And that's why I really started trying to make connections with everyone I knew. That's why I started knowing everyone. Like there were people, I caught myself being like, "Oh, I don't want to be, like, I don't really want to hang out with that person." When I realized, like, oh wait, what if people said that about me? And so that's why by the end of this semester, literally every day of the week, there were at least like 3 or 4 different people in my room that just came and started hanging out, because I was just like, sure, come and hang out. Where like it was just a breeding ground where it was like these people from different social classes and different hierarchies on the scale were like, okay, this person's chill and we like he'll accept us, you know.
Yeah.
It was
Um,
it was so interesting seeing that happen.
I was so envious of that because I came in seeing. tour of all the time, seeing these guys from completely different social standings, different degrees, different places in life. And then here I am, this entertainer whose whole job is to connect with people. And seeing this person who does it effortlessly. And seeing all these people who, well, that's an exaggeration, but you see my point.
Yeah.
And seeing all these people who are willing to put their time forth to spend with this person was really touching in a weird way. Because it's like that's a part of my life too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's something like I'm trying to bridge the gap and that kind of stuff. Because like for me, it was always like, oh, you had your theater people, so you had your people. And so like my people, like a lot of them were commuters and that kind of stuff. And so it was like they're going to gain their degree and they're out, you know? And so, and then, so it started becoming where it was like, my people can be like, I shouldn't have my people because everyone should be my people. And so it was like you found security in the my people, and for me, not having the my people was what ultimately opened up the doorway. You know?
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was a really interesting dynamic, and I feel like people were doing like a case study, you know, trying to figure this out.
What do you mean?
So like the people I just happened to be put around and put with were like we were put as roommates last year to help, and I feel like that was so intentional in so many ways. And then this year I just happened to, this was the only room, and I ended up going there, and I met Gerald, and like finding out our personalities are so similar, yet at the same time, like he had the musician personality, and he had his people, and he had his group of people, and he was used to that group of people, and like that kind of stuff where it was like this whole mix of things, seeing what I do with it, seeing what other people's reaction, it was so interesting, and I'm so like so glad for my experience, and I'm sad that the semester ended soon, because I could see this new dynamic coming to like my life and like friendships and that kind of stuff.
Oh, me too. And seeing circles become bigger circles, and me being willing to interact with different people, and would be a better word, and me being open to new experiences as a whole. Was something that was starting, and I hate that I had to stop officially, because it's like stop. But like
that's what, that's why I hated, like there was stuff like you and Michael connecting because like like Michael knew I was open to hanging out with people, and he would come and hang out with me, and I was always hanging out with you. And two people, like you have your own, like your circles interconnect a little bit, but him being a physics guy, you being a music theater guy, like there's no way you would have met any other way. And so like
corral, but
like, but it was also like
different sections.
Yeah.
There's no real.
For me, it was like seeing this connection of people that wanted to come in my room and hang out. Where we had John, like the quiet writer, who just he was always busy with his writing, and like was the quiet guy, didn't really ever talk to very many people. And then Michael comes in, and he's like the guy who wants to be the physics teacher, and Isaac, who's like the quintessential like Christian kid, and then like Gerald coming in, like the musician who was always out late and came in like 11 at like past 11 every night, and like he was always tired. like this weird mismatched group of people, and like then seeing you get to interact with these people that you would have never had an interaction with.
Yeah, and that blew my mind because it's like all these different worlds colliding,
Mm-hmm.
and then because I feel like some people will probably look at both of us and go, "You sure you should interact with that guy?" Like either of us, it's like,
oh yeah,
you're completely different. Like there's no. That's the point. I don't want to hang out with someone just like me. That makes me sick. That makes me want to throw myself off the nearest balcony.
That's part of why I love hanging out with you and your friend group and that kind of stuff.
We're weirdos, man. We're so interesting.
Why I love that I'm now like blending in and becoming part of it, because it's like you guys are so interesting and like in a lot of ways we're so much the same, but in a lot of ways like I'm learning a lot from you guys.
Yeah, we come from a business of putting ourselves on the line for very little reward.
Yeah.
For basically bragging rights.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be some crazy people.
Oh yeah.
It's got to be some really crazy people.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I don't know. I'm just so glad with all the friendships and like connections I've made this year.
I mean, regardless of things that happen, I'm just glad I had the opportunity, even like little things like talking to Tina in the Haven.
Oh yeah.
Like, even if I never see Tina again, at least I had the opportunity
to
interact with her.
Like the stuff like Jamie and the MP stuff like even this year, the fact that I went like maybe once a week and she remembered my name and we had like inside jokes and we're joking around and that kind of stuff.
Well, she knew my name, yeah.
Yeah, like
crazy.
It was like I always knew she remembered people's names, but I remember walking out one day. I went with Gerald at literally like they were like 20 minutes before they were closed. Gerald was like, "I'm hungry. Let's go get food real quick." So we went over and that kind of stuff. And on my way out, I did the thing I always do and press the on the rating thing. I pressed the hate thing like 10 times. And Jamie looked over and saw that, and she was like, "Hey, Aaron, what are you doing?" Like the fact that she called out my name was really like, I don't know, little things.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what else. I remember when there's a barista after the last year. My whole show thing recognized me.
Yep.
Made my day, man. She went, "You're the room temperature coffee guy, aren't you?" And I said, "How did you know me from that?" And she said, "My sister goes to Pendleton Heights. There are a bunch of band kids there. I mean, Encino's, and she filmed you singing at the open mic, and I got to watch it." And I said, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah.
So cool.
And see,
so cool.
For you, there is that, and for me, it's stuff like
cool.
The fact that I could go to go to the coffee shop, Mocha Joe's, and like the baristas knew my name and remembered my order.
Yeah, people they started remembering my name too.
Like
it freaked me out.
The fact that like even like so the barista that I usually went to and that kind of stuff, like she remembered my name, remembered my order, and that kind of stuff. I remember since we switched classes second semester, I didn't really see her very often. I saw her in like late February of that semester, and she was like, "Hey, how you doing, Aaron?" Like she was like, "You still get the iced coffee with caramel?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I don't know. I don't know if I should appreciate or hate the fact that no one's been talking in the chat forever.
I appreciate it.
That they're just sitting there and listening to our conversation about this. I hope that
it's our friends at this point.
Yeah.
So
at this point, it's just Hannah and Jillian, and we're in love now. So So it's yeah. We have been. You didn't want to interrupt. I'm here. Oh, thank you guys. Good. I'm glad that you guys are here because honestly, like I was telling Brady before, when I asked Brady, it was just like, hey, I just getting sick of being cooped up. I just want to talk to somebody, you know. So yeah.
It's funny to me that I sought so much to feel like a celebrity when the real people in my life that make me feel like celebrities,
Yeah.
the Shyamalan twist, are celebrities to me.
Yeah.
There's the Shyamalan twist.
Mhm.
The real people that make me feel like I'm famous are the people that are famous to me.
Mhm. Yeah. We're not in a love triangle. We're in a love square.
We're all equal, equidistant points.
I don't know. I feel like it's more of like a quadrilateral, just like
Parallelogram.
parallelogram, rectangle. Like I don't know.
I hate geometry. I hate it with a passion.
I don't know. Brady is just way out there, and like us three are just like.
Just love the idea of there being a chart and it's like, woo! It's a giant point.
I love like it starts out as like a square and then it just slowly morphs to like like a kite where like there's one point way out there and then like there's the little bunch over here and
I'm trying to think of any other topics I have because I'm so tired.
yeah. I'm surprised we've gone this long, to be honest.
I know it's because it's low key. There's less people.
I love the low key nature of it. I love the streams we have where it's just like real low key and like this is as loud as our voices go.
Yeah, pretty much. Come on, brain. It's interesting to me too. This is a topic we'll probably close the show with. This is just conjecture and put nothing on. I'm about to say on the record.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Elliott is a character. It's interesting to me that I was so connected to this man. Even waking him up, sucking his toes, the usual.
Mm-hmm.
He's been off the grid, man.
Yeah, that's. Have you heard
He's
like
so
anything
hard.
from him?
He's so hard to get a hold of. I've seen him in class, and I've had some conversations with him in class.
Yeah.
I text him, he doesn't respond. I DM him, he doesn't respond. He doesn't look at Snapchat. He's off the grid. The man has disappeared.
I just love that. That was his personality in school too. So it was just like.
Oh yeah, this is totally lining up with him. But it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know. It's
Like
really weird.
I knew exactly this was gonna happen. Where it was like, you guys got really close, like being roommates, that kind of stuff, and then like Ben would go into his like not really talking to people, and then you just.
One of my best friends has disappeared.
Yeah.
What?
The thing is, that is exactly what Sam does too. Like
It's terrifying.
like, but that's something like I've had to learn to deal with. Like, I'm not gonna see or talk to Sam for like 8 months out of 8 to 10 months out of my entire year. But like, it's so weird that like he just drops off. Ben is on a spin-off series.
No, everyone acts like Ben is a strong enough lead to have his own spin-off series. Are you kidding me?
No, I feel like
the character tested very poorly, okay? And in season 1, his arc was so needlessly complicated. And then in season 2,
I don't
you thought conflict was resolved. It wasn't resolved. It was poorly put together. And the writers frankly didn't know what to do with the guy.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't want to replace Ben, but I feel like in this show story thing, what's starting to happen is Ben is starting to fade out of the picture, and so it's like they're like, we need to fill him with things. And so, like, just different things are showing up.
I mean, it's called character growth.
Yeah. I don't know.
We're all becoming stronger characters.
Yeah.
Hence the less of a need for the ensemble cast all the time. They're just very strong characters on their own.
Yeah. I'm another tall guy.
No one's replacing Dylan. Nobody's getting replaced. That's immature. But if you send your application in the mail, I'd really appreciate that. I'd like to read that up a little bit.
No. I don't want to replace Ben. No. Like
I want to replace
Ben. I like being part of the group, but I don't want to replace Ben at the same time. So I'll just be like, I don't know, I'll be a new character that just happens to coincide where Ben needs to.
Look, I don't know anything about that, but I'll tell you this much. You've always been there. You were supporting for a season. In season 2, you were part of basically the main cast. I think you're.
Yeah,
there's no problem. Yeah. You have your own place, and it's not Ben's, dude. Mm-hmm. You have to be late all the time. You'd have to vibrate. You don't do those things.
See, I don't want to be that. I'm part of the ensemble now.
It's just interesting to me that this man, again, who I shared, I was within, no, Hannah, you can't be the tall guy. I was within inches of every waking moment of my existence.
You shared a kiss with this man.
I shared a kiss. I looked lovingly into his big old doughy brown eyes. I saw his naked bottom. It's just funny to me. This is a person I shared such close quarters with. I spent time with this man without even speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Slept in the same room. I have no idea what he's doing right now.
Nope. I love the fact that we were going to have him on stream once, and you, like, out of nowhere, you were like, hey, I think we're going to have Rin on tonight. And I was like, okay, that sounds like fun. And, like, I was like, oh, you and Ben have been talking. That's good. And then hear nothing about it, and then it's almost time for the stream, and you're like, so I don't think Bimbo is going to join us. And I was like, what's going on? And he was like, you were just like, oh yeah, he hasn't responded to me.
It killed me, man, because he was like really excited. He said, I think he just got off work, and he's like, I'm going to buy Minecraft. I just set up a Discord account. I'm so excited to join you guys on the show. I said, well, we're not really doing the Minecraft thing anymore. Mm-hmm. You can still buy it. It'd be fun to play with you. And secondly, please get Discord. We can have you on the show as soon as possible. Then we can do something in Zoom. We can just get Discord. It makes everything much easier organizationally. And he said, okay, I'll do that. That's where the conversation ended.
And the thing is, I was all on board. I was excited to have
somebody
because he was gonna be our first guest, wasn't he? Or was he? Did we have Josh on at that point? I forget if we had Josh.
We had Josh on. He was going to be number 2.
Yeah, and then
something like that. And then Jillian came along.
Did we have Jillian instead of Ben, or just no one?
I think we had Jillian after that stream. Not long after. We were supposed to have Ben.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't really remember. These days run together for me.
Yeah. You know
is it March? Is it April?
You know who I miss? Tard.
He didn't stop in tonight. I thought that was strange.
I think we started too late for him.
I mean, that kind of makes sense.
Because we started after midnight, and Thursday he fell asleep at like midnight or something like that.
I guess that's true.
Yeah. No,
it's frustrating.
What?
My mustache is much lighter than my chin hair.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like in some shots I have nothing on my upper lip. Mm-hmm. And then light, you can tell.
Who do you miss, Anna?
Is it Emma? Because I really miss Emma like a lot. Like seriously.
Yeah. I don't know.
Is it Chris Farley? Because he's dead. I really miss Chris Farley.
No, I'm waiting here. We're waiting for you to answer, Hannah.
Last thing we do, because I'm
also I'm not sick anymore, and so like my voice just got better, and I can feel it starting to hurt again.
It's okay. If you sleep a good amount and then don't talk for a little while.
No, so the problem has been because of the place I've been sleeping and that kind of stuff. When I wake up, it's worse. Oh, I miss him too.
I miss Jackaroni.
Should we have our Jack stream? Because we never got to have our Jack stream.
We should have him on the show. I wish he had a Discord. We could have him on. He could figure that out. Dude. He's a bright kid.
I'm sure he could. But yeah, I miss him.
On Discord.
I miss him, Hannah. We should play Minecraft with Jack. That will be our Jack stream.
We'll scream at him the whole time.
And the title of it will be "You Don't Know Jack." And
the thumbnail will be me and you in a picture with somebody, and we scratch out the face and put the word Jack over it.
And I feel like we should not describe Jack at all in the entire episode. Not explain why he's there or anything. Just be like, not even acknowledge that he's like a new face. Just act like he's normal for this.
I mean, he kind of is.
Yeah, but like
not that much of a stretch.
But like you just hear him and that kind of stuff, and he talks, and it's like, yeah. And so we talk to him like he's just another member of the stream.
Of course, he's been on the show. He's a friend of the show. He's a friend of the show.
Yeah, he's a friend of the show.
I love saying friend of the show. It's a goofy.
We also need to get Tard on here sometime.
I want to talk to Tard. I want to pick his stinky anime brain. I want to see what's up there.
I want to know more about his obsession with hentai. The thing is, I don't think he has that much of an obsession with hentai. I think it was he just wants love, and so like.
Yeah, I think it is. I think he has an obsession with having an obsession with hentai.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
He just wants to sound like he's obsessed with hentai, because that's way more of an otaku move than just going, yeah, I watch anime porn. Like, what?
Yeah. I love that he tried to be all mysterious, that kind of stuff. And then the first stream we had where we were answering the questions, like, he was answering all the questions, and, like, he was revealing stuff like his birth date, and, like... He's revealing all this stuff about him.
Just P.O. box.
Like, we were just being like, okay, because we were making the joke, it was like, I was born on a dark Friday morning, May 12th, 2000. And then, like, you would go on about yours, and then he was answering all the questions, so he was like, I was born on June 22nd, 2005.
2005. A little too personal.
But
he's 15 years old. That lines up with how old he said he was.
The child hentai thing, I feel like his point for that was different. Like, I don't think he actually watched child hentai. I think he was, like, trying to make a point.
I don't know, man. That girl on the show he likes is 15 years old. He's 15 years old.
Okay. Hey, Jillian won't stop. What's the question?
Hurry up, Jill. I have to pee so badly. My bladder is in excruciating pain. I know you're sadistic. You're a dominatrix. You like to make me wait. You like to make me beg for it, Jillian. But I'm not in the mood to beg for it. Like, seriously, okay? I'm going to smash my head through something. I don't know, glass. I'm not sure. But it will be blunt. It will be painful.
Just ask the question.
Jillian, please.
Jillian, please. I just asked the question. Jillian, I just need you to ask the question right now.
Jillian, I'm going to have a urinary tract infection. You can tell me the answer.
Ask the question. If you don't ask the question soon, I will literally come over there and I will... Oh, she asked the question. We talked about this earlier, Jillian. Come on.
I'm not the person at all I thought I would be.
Yeah.
I'm way
So,
cooler. What?
Since you were not here and we talked about it when it was just Hannah on the stream. So, wait, was Emma gone at that point or was it just Hannah? Anyway, so we're nothing close to the people we thought we were. I thought I was going to be married and I would have a regular lifestyle, have a house, have a good sleeping schedule, eat three solid meals a day, and here I am, you know.
Hiding from a bug from hiding from Tom Hanks disease right now.
Tom Hanks disease.
That's the official name.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be famous. I thought I was going to be cool. I thought I was going to be doing little dances, singing little songs.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be married and
I
have a
was
house.
going to be a famous entertainer at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm an entertainer, but no one likes me. Everyone thinks I suck. Everyone spits in my face. Everyone throws tomatoes at me in the town square and calls me a freak.
He's literally the worst. I hate the kid. I hang out with him because of pity, you know? Like, I hate all of his stand-up. I pretend like I love it. I'm like,
I've done stand-up once. I've gotten very close to doing it, though, almost.
I honestly really want you to do it.
And by that, I mean, I started, what was it? I started to memorize bits. And I had a time in my life, I need to start writing stuff. I need a writer. You'd be a great writer for me to help hone, because I am so unfocused.
That is one thing about our dynamic when we were roommates that I felt like worked really well, because you were the one that was popping out all the ideas, and I was able to be like, okay, but let's focus it here.
Most people who I work really well creatively with are like that. They are decipherers of insanity. They know how to make that work. And
I feel like that's why you kept coming out with all those songs, and like a lot of them were stuff that like you kept working on with other people and stuff like that. But a lot of them it was like, okay, how does this sound? And I'm like, that sounds a little bit weird. Like you're getting away from the point of it. Let's focus it back to this. And I honestly still love the songs. I wish you'd make more, but.
I'm actually been on the cusp of writing one about the coronavirus. I just don't know what to say about it. I wanted to say, I want to make a song about losing your mind inside. It's called My Coronication, as a joke about, or Coronication or whatever, as a joke about what Hannah kept calling it. And I wanted to make another joke about like all the plans I have, and that I can't do them because everyone's dying of Tom Hanks disease.
Yep.
So Hannah asked me if you could be in one Robin Williams movie. I think this is for me, not for you. Don't answer this, you idiot. Don't even think about it. No, you
I will answer it. I will. I'm not going to answer. I'm going to even cover my face while you answer it.
If you could be in one Robin Williams movie, which one would you be in? Which one would you choose? Sorry, I had a stroke. Assuming I'm older. Dead Poets, actually, would be a really good one to be in. Fish, what about you? That's a good answer.
This wasn't for me, okay?
Do you have an opinion, though?
Okay.
My
opinion.
Which movie would you be in? You got Flubber, you got Mrs. Doubtfire, you got The Good Will Hunting, you got Awakenings, you got
You're naming all of these as if I didn't watch any.
You got
good stuff.
Russian in Manhattan, The Fisher King, Bicentennial Man, Toys, Hook, Popeye, The World's Greatest Dad.
Probably Hook.
Hook would be really fun.
Hook or Jumanji.
Jumanji, yeah, that's another one. Aladdin.
I like the original Jumanji.
I like the original Jumanji quite a bit also. It's not that great, but Robin's wonderful, so whatever.
Yeah, he does
carries the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. What's the question, Jillian?
Got another one, Jillian. My bladder's gonna explode.
Would you do the nude 5K if you were fully clothed?
No, I would feel out of place. I couldn't do it.
I would want to. I probably wouldn't want to do it fully nude. I'd probably. I don't. Is the nude 5? I've never heard of this. Is it just
It's
like?
real. It's called the. But whatever. There's a 5K, and get this. This should be in a different episode. Personally, I'll probably talk about it again. Jillian sent me a joke. It was from Indie Run official website about a 5K, and it was happening in Centerville, of course.
Yeah.
Right next to where I live, and it was on a road I know. There's a nudist colony there. They're having a naked 5K there, and she wanted me to do it really badly, and I don't want to do it. But the fact that I could do it is really killing me. That it's like so close. Like we're talking fish like a 15-minute or less drive right now from where I am to this nudist colony. It's
you know, my mom really wanted me to go to this, and she thought it would be hilarious. In IU, they were having a seminar where they were talking about drag, and my stepbrother, was going to be performing drag, and she thought it was hilarious. And she really wanted me to go to this seminar about people in drag and watch my stepbrother go up there in his get up and just be, I don't know what his name is, but be a queen, you know?
Look, I understand drag queens for this one thing. I've always, and I think people always long to be greater, bigger, insane. Someone they're not. They want complete freedom to be whatever. And I think drag gives men the opportunity to be just like larger than life and insane. Because these women have to be large.
Oh, yeah.
If they're women, if you get what I'm saying. When they're in drag, they're a woman. And when they're a woman, they're completely different. They're powerful. They're strong. Because they're giant. Because they're men. I don't know. There's something really interesting about the dynamic.
Oh, no. He is so... I'll have to show you some of the pictures. It's so weird. And, like, it's one thing to think about drag and that kind of stuff, but, like, this is the person I grew up with. I met him in 5th grade, and he lived in the room next to me for years. And then now he's performing drag. And it's just like, you don't think about knowing those kind of people personally.
I mean, I do, but you don't.
Yeah.
I don't attempt to meet people who do drag. It just happens.
Yeah.
That's how it is for me. I never like woke up and was like, let's see how many drag queens I can run into today.
So yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like being the sweet little Christian boy, like, and
your gay stepbrother is a queen, and you didn't even.
He's a raging. He's a raging queen.
You just never could have telegraphed that.
Yeah.
Really. It's funny to me too, because if you think if you're embarrassed or confused about that, imagine what it must be like having relatives who are like something way more shameful, like a sex worker. You know how taboo that is, or that someone who does porn. You know how much, like, how, regardless of how you see that morally, which I know how you see that morally, but I'm saying, like,
the thing
regardless
is,
of how you or society, how you think you would feel knowing that, like, your brother-in-law did porn in his 20s to get through college.
The thing is,
there's tangible internet stuff of that. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, like that's the same way I feel about my stepbrother doing drag. It's like one of those things where it's like real taboo, and it's one of those things like I'm not going to talk about that with a regular person. In fact, there's people I know really well that I'm probably still not going to talk about it with because it's just like
You don't think they'd understand?
yeah. It's one of those things where it's like even in high school, it was you found out that we were stepbrothers. They were like, you and him? Like, do you know some of the stuff that he's done? That kind of stuff. And I was like, yes. Like I I've I know about him having sex with boys. That's he doesn't
Homosexual. What do you expect?
he doesn't necessarily keep that secret. And like the thing is, for some reason he trusts me with all this like knowledge of stuff that he's done. And I'm like, no. I don't want to hear about this, but you're going to tell me anyway. And then
I mean, men have this thing. I don't know if women do this. Men have this thing that when we have sexual encounters, we see them almost as like accolades or things to brag about, like badges of honor. Just because a guy wants a guy doesn't mean he's not going to also want to go back to his guys and go, bruh. I think that was your stepbrother's way of doing that. Regardless of whether you see it that way. He was like, look, I may be a guy and I may be railing another guy, but you're not railing anyone, pal. Okay?
yeah.
I just got a head from a basketball player who's hot. And what'd you get? 6 hours of Dark Souls? Come on. Who's winning here? Yeah. Really? That's what he was doing.
Some of the stories, it's like, are you really winning? Really?
That's true. No, I know what you mean, but that's, I think, in nature for at least what I've experienced. I don't know if it's true for everybody, but men are like that, especially gay men I've met. They'll have encounters and then they like will slyly like put it in a conversation, like, yeah, last night I just, meet a guy where you get pretty heavy, but it's, you don't have to ask about it. So none of nobody's business, right? It's like, what happened? Well, now that you ask, I don't know why I keep looking at my nails both ways.
I love one of the moments where it's like abundantly clear that like he was struggling with it. Younger than when he came out was in middle school. There was a dance, and
you told me this story. I love it.
But there was a dance, and he asked somebody to the dance, and he kept asking me like, so this girl I'm going with, you think she's hot, right? And I was like, yeah, she's okay. And and then he kept pushing. He was like, but she's hot, right? And I'm like, sure, she's hot. And he's like, okay, good. And so like he took her to the dance and that kind of stuff, and like nothing about it and that kind of stuff. And he just kept bringing it up every once in a while, like, oh, I went to the dance with this hot girl and that kind of stuff. And anytime anything like positive, like brought up anything about my relationship world or like dating life, it was always, but I went with this. Remember that hot girl I went on that dance with and that kind of stuff? And
am I wrong about what I said? Am I wrong? You're proving my point even more.
And so it's just like he wants to show off. He just wants.
Doesn't matter. Listen to this, Aaron. A gay man had a hotter date than you. Had no chance with her. Got a hotter date. What do you think about that? You lost. Actually, I don't know what your date looked like, but you see the point. In his brain, though.
See, the point. I told you about how much of a sleaze bag I was in middle school and how I was like, I was the worst.
Monkey. You want to hear something random? Monkey. Comedy. Classic.
But no. So the thing is, because in middle school we'd have a dance every month. And for every single dance, there were at least like 2 or 3 girls that would ask me to the dance, and I'd just say, no,
You player, man.
And so I was the worst kind of person. And looking back now, I hate that. But like, it wasn't that I couldn't get a date. I chose not to.
Oh, that's badass or just stupid.
I think
I'm thinking it's stupid.
It's stupid, you know, because there were some honestly.
See, I was a simp, man. I was a simp. I was like, what do I have to do to get a date?
In high school, I became a simp.
Yeah, you did. Every man becomes a simp for a little while.
Yeah,
That's okay. We all get simpy.
I had to get out of that for a little. I think now I'm not so much a simp, but
depends who's asking. Then I'll be a simp.
But what topic should Julian have for her blog? You know.
I do have a Godspell poster back there. I wasn't in the show, but I had a teacher who did drama club stuff on and off for a few years. When she retired, she said, I don't want any of these drama posters. Do what you want. So I got like Fiddler on the Roof. I got like Godspell. I think that's it. Lion King.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, Jillian, I think you should talk about postmarital sex and why it's so much better in every way, physically, not emotionally. I'm saying physically only.
You know, sometimes I'm just sitting around and
imagine postmarital sex.
I'm just sitting around and in my skivvies and just like I'm just imagining, and I'm like, dude, I just can't wait to have postmarital sex. It's going to be so good. The point when I can have postmarital sex, you know.
Yeah.
But so, like, I've told you about mine and Gerald's plan, right?
Yes, I know your plan. You're both gonna get married to different people and
We're
have sex because it's
yes,
okay. It's
yeah,
postmarital.
yeah. Because we
Well,
can't
that
get
just makes me because
we
me and Ben wanted quick Nathan for you plot that you knew about, but me and Ben wanted to get married to get free off-campus housing, and then I was like, I can have sex with Emma now because I'm married. It's okay,
no.
I'm married.
We were making the point that like we can't get married to each other because that's gay. But if we
Right.
get married if we both get married to girls and then we have sex, then it's postmarital sex and it's not gay. Win-win.
And if you have socks on, you're not naked, so nothing could be happening.
Oh yeah.
I have a new policy. If you have a hat on, you're not naked.
I like socks better though. Like a hat is more visually comedic, but socks it's more of like.
But imagine going to a golf course,
literally
a bunch of naked old men, and all they have on is a hat. It's much funnier.
As you drive by on your golf cart, they tip their hat to you, and then
Socks
they go
is
back
funny.
to swinging.
Ball cap hats, man. Any hat, really, man. You can have a yarmulke.
I imagine more of a fedora.
Imagine fedora. Milady. Naked. Alright, I need to end the stream. I have to pee so badly.
Yeah. Well,
And I need to sleep.
This stream that was supposed to last like an hour has turned into.
I wanted to go like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and now it's 3 in the morning.
3.5 hours in, and it's like it's about to become our stream on Thursday where we were literally dead, and I think this is about how late it was too, because we started at like 10:30.
Yeah,
and
I'm not crying.
I'm not crying.
Look at my eyes.
The thing is,
the eyes of a man who's crying.
The thing is, I love that. I love the questionnaire, but Jillian, you missed it when we were talking about it earlier. So it came to 1:30 and we finished the second set. And I knew at that time we should have finished it. And I said, when we finished the second set, do you guys just want to call it here and do it again another time? And you and Brady, you guys said, no, let's just crank it out tonight. Let's just do it. And I was like,
we're enablers, man.
I was like, okay, I guess if you say so. And then 2 hours later, we were just like, just get this over with. Next time we do a long stream, we need to fill it out more with different stuff.
Yeah.
Okay? So yeah, because I'm still planning on doing at least a long stream, hopefully a charity stream or something like that on my birthday, or for my birthday or something like that.
You donating to yourself? Happy birthday, me.
Happy birthday, me.
$100 I got from Jack goes to me. Happy birthday, me.
This $100 I got from Tard goes to me. Happy birthday, me.
GoFundMe. Makes you think of what's this? Internet Etiquette did or Common Etiquette did the whole GoFundMe a couple years back to get his haircut, and he said, "Guys, help me buy a haircut, and then what do you want it to be? Help me buy a haircut." And he shaved his head like a pineapple and dyed it that way, and then he gave the rest of the money to charity. Stupid. All right, let's close out. Thank you guys for tuning in to Late Night. This is a late night.
Thank you guys so much.
You look so beautiful.
I'm going to go ahead and close the stream, and we can still talk and hash things out. But okay, bye guys. I'm gonna miss you.
Bye.
Thank you guys for watching. Bye. Love you.